Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Fannin's Flashbacks, the podcast that nobody asked for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This podcast is going to cover tales from IWA Mid South during my 12 years with the company, and it will be a part of the VNMVS Podcast Network. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only due to the foul language and graphic details about deathmatch wrestling that it will contain. This will be your backstage pass to get a peek behind the curtain at what led to the downfall of the craziest independent wrestling promotion of the late 1990s, early 2000s. And without any further ado, Nick Manawa, hit the music. Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 40 of Fannin's Flashbacks. It's the podcast that nobody asked for, but I decided to give it to you anyway. These are tales from IWA Mid South during my time there from 1997 to 2009, and we'll go a little bit beyond that just because of some fun stories that we can add to this. And I am joined today by internet sensation, YouTube star, Not That Tom Green. How are you tonight, Tom?
I'm doing great. I'm blushing after that intro. Thank you so much. It's up there with when Google's AI thing referred to me as a pop culture icon once.
Well,
and they didn't mean the other guy. They actually meant me.
Right.
So
right.
I don't know.
Hey.
But thank you so much for having me on. Like I've told you both online and just now before we started recording, I am a huge fan. I'm a longtime listener, first time caller, as some would say.
Yes. And as they would say on KSR that I listen to every day, hoo-ah, or something like that, I think.
Baba booey. Anyway, so love the show. I think it's so important that you're doing this because like we talked about beforehand, these stories need to get out there. This is the oral history of IWA Mid South, which unfortunately, due to the actions of one person, doesn't get the respect that it deserves for the legacy that it has and the amazing talent that have come through that locker room and the incredible stories, both in front of the camera and behind the camera, that have happened throughout the year. So I'm so happy you're doing this. It seems like it's been great therapy for both you.
It has been. Yeah. It has been very great therapy, and to see that, along the way, I just thought that I was getting as much blame, and it felt that way on the internet, but I was the one flying the flag and waving it higher and harder and trying to defend. And so a lot of the residual, like they couldn't get at the guy they wanted to, so then it became my cross to bear. And in a lot of ways, I thought, not really knowing how things were played, because I wouldn't be involved when the money was being exchanged and different things like that. And I was just under the assumption that I was probably getting blamed for most everything, and that I was probably just as hated, especially by the wrestlers, and the support that they've shown my podcast and how anxious they've been to get on here and actually tell their story. And then I see just how much we shared trauma, a trauma bond. As
yes.
As we're recording this, last night I filmed with Isaiah. It will be out before your show. Okay. But that was a term that, so you haven't heard that one yet, but that's a term that Isaiah kept repeatedly bringing up, is we all had the same trauma bond in that lot. And that was a really good way to look at it. And as you say, it's like therapeutic that you get to go over, and it's almost like we're having our own, grief counseling group that would go into. And, we all have the same feelings and the same emotions and a lot of the same experiences. And like you said, it's a crying shame that the hatred and actions for like one person has just made the legacy tarnished forever. And you can't, these stories, as you said, they have to be told, they have to get out there. And thankfully, I came out of exile and decided to take this up. And thankfully I did when I did, because it got the opportunity for Mark Wolf to tell his story just in time. And a lot of the guys that never thought that they would get the opportunity to tell their side of things have been able to come out, and we've all healed each other, along the way. So this has been I definitely didn't think we would get to 40 episodes, when I started. And if we did, I thought it would take about 8 years to get that far. As I told Manawa, we'll just, when something happens, or I have a feeling, we'll go ahead and do it, and no set schedule. And so many people came out and wanted to do it that, unlike IWA, we haven't missed a week yet. There's been a few that we cut it pretty close, and it had some worries, but we haven't had to have that first full on cancellation yet. Knock on wood. So this has been going a lot better than what I ever anticipated when it started. And to be able to land a big fish like you that gets hundreds of thousands of views, hopefully just 1,000 of those can trickle over to hear and follow you onto this podcast. That's the hope.
That's I'm definitely trying to pull everyone over, because I this is such, there are a lot of wrestling podcasts these days. There's so many of them are useless. This one I feel is vital, because again, like you said, there's a lot of people that have not gotten to tell the stories. If you're CM Punk, you get to tell some stories about the Charlestown building.
Right.
But if you're some of the,
and you get to lose some friendships and face some lawsuits along the way. We don't want that here.
No,
we don't want that here.
I'm not going to say anything about Z-Packs or nothing like that. But what I will say is, before we go back in time, I do want to tell a story real quick, because you were mentioning something along these lines. Squared Circle Expo this year. So it's the day after your return to wrestling.
Yes.
And you've told the story on here before, but I kind of want to give some added detail to it. My son Noli, giant wrestling fan, huge, loves it with all of his heart. It's so much fun watching wrestling through his eyes, because he's not cynical like I am. But the night before, of course,
give it time.
Told the story. Yeah, give it. Oh yeah,
it's time.
Yeah, but the night before, you pulled out the chain to try to help Mickey win, and Nate Webb gives it to him. And he's like, "This is the coolest thing ever. I have a wrestling chain. This is so cool." And so the next day he brings it with him to meet some of the wrestlers. He really wanted to meet Eddie Kingston. And so he gets to the front of the line. He's like, "Eddie, look, I have a weapon." And he's like, "Where did you get this from?" And we tell him, last night Jim Fannin returned to wrestling, and Nate Webb gave this to him when Jim, missed the throw, and he's like, "Jim Fannin's back? That's so cool." And he starts clapping and gets really pumped up, and he loves you, dude. I don't know if you two have gotten to talk online or anything, but he was so excited you're back. And I think a lot of people are as well. And I'm glad you're back out there. I'm glad Wrestle Arts is taking advantage of your skill set. If anybody that's not is a dummy, in my opinion, I've recommended you to a couple of folks. I know Manawa is knocking down people's doors.
Right. It's been a slow process.
But that's how 2026 indie wrestling is. You just I think you tweeted, you just got to get some stuff on video, and you got to get, especially as Connor blows up, because he's so good.
He is so talented. Good. He is so good. And I mean, I wish there was a way to really get it out there more, because I am over the moon with the stuff that we've been doing with Wrestle Arts, and I'll go to them and I'll be like, "Can I do A, B, and C?" And they're like, and the answer is almost always the same: do what you want. And I'm like, be careful, be careful.
Don't say that.
Be careful. Don't just tell me that. And but everything that I've brought to them, they're like, run with it, go, do it. And like, I'm like running my own material. I got the shit with Ben Rich. Those three videos, like
those videos are really
videos,
good. Yeah.
And like, I just gave him I was like, make sure you hit these 2 points, say it like this, and then like progressively get more amped up and like, oh shit. And then I told him like end of the world is coming on this and he's like chucking eating a bottle of Tums while he's doing it, like, oh my God, what is going to happen? And now I just got to make sure that the payoff is actually good enough here in a couple of weeks, to live up to those things. But not a lot of people have watched the videos, so maybe it's not only to those people will it have a lot to live up to. But I'm really, really thankful for what Wrestle Arts has been able to give me the freedom to do and allow. And hopefully some other folks start seeing it and it progresses. But to go back to Eddie, later that day, and like, I know how I said on it, Nate had just come back to the locker room and he goes, hey man, I gave your chain away to a kid. I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll go back out there and take it back from the kid if you don't want it. And I'm like, well, I just paid $20 on Amazon this week to get this chain shipped to me. But no, don't go take it back from the kid. If the kid wanted it, and I had no idea who it was.
Yeah.
Had no idea that it was your son that had done it. And then I'm just scrolling Twitter the next morning and I see the picture that you posted of him with Eddie and he's got the chain, and I'm looking at that chain and I'm like, son of a bitch, that's my chain. And so then I think I even like just made the tweet. I was like, is that my chain? Is he the one that took my chain? And you're like, yes, as a matter of fact, it was.
He's a rascal at shows. Like, he really is.
He is that.
Yeah.
He
like
is that.
At Black Label Pro shows, a lot of the wrestlers will call him the working kid because they know that if they go to him, he'll know what to do. Like, a lot of kids get nervous and they're like, oh, I don't want to chop the guy, or they'll like punch him in the nuts or something instead of the chop. He knows, okay, this is where a chop goes. And then he even has the presence to be like pose to the crowd afterwards. But he's a menace up on the guardrail. Like, I don't know if you saw, he bit a guy in the scramble.
I did not see that.
Yeah, no. So some dude, like, I forget, it's from Buffalo. I forget what his name was, but he was like screaming back and forth with Noli, and the way he like comes in, Noli's mouth is open, and somehow his forehead ends up in Noli's mouth while they're screaming.
Somehow.
And the dude gets bite marks on his forehead. So,
nice.
But he's typically not that bad. But
yeah, so like later that day, I go to the Squared Circle Expo and go to try to find Eddie, and he sees me before I see him, and he just came running up and gave me this huge bear hug and like pretty much said exactly like what you were saying, that he's like, I am so happy to hear that you're doing this again. And so I got to have like a quick little conversation with him. As a matter of fact, I just sent him a message on Instagram yesterday. He hasn't looked at it yet. I don't know how if it'll get to him or not. But if somebody hears this podcast and like knows how to get a hold of him, like let him know that there is a message from me sitting in his Instagram inbox just waiting, because there's something important for him to answer that's in there. But so hopefully that message gets to him. But yeah, that whole night was just, the comeback was this close to being over that weekend, because when I tripped and fell on my face, literally tripped and fell on my face that first night back, and like Mickey's looking at me do it, like saying, what the fuck are you doing on the ground? And Manawa's on the ground laughing, and like I'm getting like I'm laying there on the ground and my soul is leaving my body, and I'm like going, do I just lay here the rest of the the rest of this match and not even bother getting up. I think this is over. And like a couple of great photos ended up coming out of that, and just went to Louisville to do Pawcade a week ago, a little, well, 2 weeks ago now, I guess, as we're filming this. And one of my best friends, Rich Wayne, him and his wife take me and Trick out to eat after Pawcade because they knew we had drove down there, you know, just to help out the charity cause. And so they took us out to eat. It was great friends that they are. And the whole dinner, Rich's wife, Melissa, is just laughing. And she's like, "Oh, we got a gift for you. We have a gift for you. Can't wait to give it to you. We got a gift for you." And I'm like, "Well, you know, this supper is good enough of a gift." And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 no. We've got it." And she couldn't even wait to the end of the, she finally just had to get up, run out to the car, go get it and bring it in. And they blew up the photo of your son up on the guardrail screaming at me as goodness. I'm laying flat out on the ground. And my glasses had fallen up, so they're like on top of my head, and I'm just laying on the ground. It looks like a chalk outline needs to be coming drawn around me, and he's just, you know, giving me the business, standing at the guard, and it's just this master photo. And she's like, "Do you like it?" And I'm like, "It's a great photo." So yes. So that's now on my desk at work, and people are fantastic. Like, "What is going on there?" And I'm like, just look at it, enjoy it for the artistic beauty that is there, and just go on with your day. Don't ask for stories, because they're not going to fully appreciate it and understand it. So, but yeah, that was some good memories right off the bat on the comeback. So, but we'll go ahead and dive into the first question that I always ask everybody, is just, how did you become a wrestling fan to begin with?
So I actually looked it up on Cage Match because I knew this was coming. And it turns out the match that I've always told people I thought got me into wrestling, I've been wrong this whole time. I thought it was a British Bulldog match. Turns out British Bulldog. So it's the weekend of my third birthday.
Your third birthday? Wow.
My third birthday. It's my first memory on Earth. It's that, wow. And then there's nothing for like a couple of years. But my brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law, they got divorced a while ago. He turns on WWF Superstars of Wrestling. And I always thought for years it was Davey Boy Smith in the squash match I saw. Turns out Davey Boy didn't start with the company for a couple of months after. It was Kerry Von Erich against against Bob Bradley, who was one of the Battle Cats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember
that.
Guy.
Yeah. So and it's like a minute-long squash match, but it's like, wait, you're allowed to just beat people up and you can be huge? Like, Kerry Von Erich looked like a superhero. I'm like, that's a real person? This is so cool. Ironically enough, the thing is, people will probably be able to tell by like everything around me, I watched the WWF, but I was a WCW kid. Like, it was so much better. It was so much. It's weird to say because I was like a child, and kids normally are into the more cartoony stuff. I liked how it felt more real. Like, Arn Anderson could be my dad's friend, you know?
Yep.
These felt like real people that happened to get really big and mean and angry and go fight each other. Like, even Sting. Sting was a superhero type guy, but he also felt more like a real person than a Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is a space alien, essentially.
Right.
Whereas Sting is just a crazy guy that painted up his face. And
right.
but Jim Ross will go on commentary and be like, "Oh yeah, Sting played basketball at this college and he has this weightlifting record." It's like, oh, he's a real person. So like my chubby little butt sitting there like, oh, I could do this someday. I don't have to be from planet Mars to be the next Hulk Hogan, you know. I was always into the more like plain Jane type wrestlers. Like, I've told this story a few times on my streams. When I was a kid, like we all do, I would play wrestling. I would jump around in my living room, my bedroom, wear a blanket as a cape, pretend to be a wrestler. I was always the top baby face, obviously. I was feuding with Colonel Rob Parker Stud Stable because that was the top heel group in WCW when I was that age. But my partners on my team, my squad, were always Jumpin' Joey Maggs and Mark Starr.
Okay.
Those were my guys.
Those were your guys. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was always like, they're gonna get a win this time. They're gonna win. They're too good. I just thought they were like Arn Anderson, where they just didn't have a flashy character. I never understood that they were there to just lose. So like, it took me years to figure it out. I thought, oh, they're just not getting the chance. They're just not getting the chance to show their stuff because these bad guys are cheating against them.
Nice. Well, do you want to hear? Do you want to hear a Joey Maggs story?
Oh, please,
through
please.
The lens. Now this is through the lens of Ian Rotten telling the story.
All right. So I know, he was a Baltimore guy, right?
Yeah. Maybe this doesn't involve Baltimore though.
Okay. All right.
But like one of the first stories that Ian ever told me while we were like starting to hang out and everything, he was telling me the story. I'm gonna say Kansas City. It's somewhere out by there. I don't think it was actually in Kansas City because, independent shows would pick something podunk near there, not.
Yeah, of course, yes.
It's not going to be in the actual big city itself. So somewhere out by Kansas City, maybe even Nebraska. It was in that general area. Okay. Axel drives from Baltimore to go work this indie in, young trainee Ian Rotten, probably as Johnny Lawler or whatever the fuck he was working at the Russian assassin or whatever. He happened to be on the show, was just hoping to get booked, so he would tag along with Axel and go to like every show that Axel did. And Axel would try to get him, added to the show or whatever. So they drive all the way to Kansas. We'll say Kansas City, long ass haul from Baltimore, Maryland, one way, to get out there.
Yeah.
The main event was supposed to have Jumpin' Joey Maggs in the main event. Like Joey Maggs no-showed. The show ended up having like 10 people at it. And Ian kept saying like how the promoter goes, oh, well, the people wanted to see Joey Maggs, so they didn't come. And they kept going, but they didn't know that Joey Maggs wasn't going to be here. He was advertised until today. And the guy was like, yes. He's like, so if the people didn't know that Jumpin' Joey Maggs wasn't going to be here, how would they know not to come here? If they really wanted to see him, they would have been here. And,
right.
And he was just so incredulous that this has happened. And then he was like so defiant that, all Axel got was a hot dog and a handshake.
Oh gosh.
For driving, all the way out to Kansas City. And then the number of times I would see almost the exact same scenario in reverse play out and it's like, maybe times just what do they say? Times a flat circle.
Yeah. I was going to say, did Ian see all this and go,
this is how I need to do this, So maybe he learned it honest. I don't know. Maybe he thought that was how it's done.
So is Joey Maggs to blame for IWA Mid South's failure?
It could be. It could be.
I think we found the patient zero. Yeah.
There you are. That's what started it all right there. But there you go. Jumpin' Joey Maggs was supposed to main event this indie show out in the the Midwestern Plains somewhere, and he no-showed, and the people somehow knew that he was going to no-show, and did not show up.
As someone who loved Joey Maggs, I could say this: it is hilarious to me that even if they posted up on "Hey, Joey Maggs isn't here," for a wrestling fan in like 1990 or whatever to be like, "Oh man, Joey Maggs isn't gonna be here," and then turn around and go home. Like,
right? Oh well, fuck, no Joey Maggs. Well, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Gonna tell me next Cruel Connection's not gonna be here? Gosh darn it.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm sorry. I'm
Oh my
sorry
god.
that I
No,
cut
no
you off
worries.
of your
No, no worries. I
of your
love that story.
story with that, but
No,
but
no,
I
no.
was like, oh, I'm never going to get to tell
Yeah,
this Joey. There's never going to be a reason to tell this Joey Maggs story ever again. So I had to jump in there and win it. So you've got Joey Maggs, and who was the other one you
it
said?
was Mark Starr,
Mark
who
Starr.
was who
Okay.
did end up getting a little bit of something in '95 as like 1/2 of minute work with Chris Canyon.
Okay. Okay.
They were like
Okay.
construction workers,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
I like they
The
actually
the
bought
the
props for
WCW
them.
Destruction Crew.
Yeah, like they would come out and like measure the ring post, and they would put up like orange cones everywhere. They would still lose every match, but they got props, so that's how
Yes.
you knew they were getting pushed.
Right.
Um, but yeah, and no, I was a weirdo kid. Like I remember I would fantasy book in my notebooks, and I went back, I found them. My mom ended up tossing them after my dad passed, but I found them a few years before my dad passed. And like I invented the European round system, even though it had been invented 25 years before it. So like
Okay. Okay.
all of Steven Regal's matches were in the round system, and I thought like I was this genius, like 9-year old, because I invented European rules. Um, but yeah, just WCW was so much more interesting to me
Oh, it was so much
because
better. So much
so much
better.
better. Like, yeah, even going back and watching the TV now, like WCW's, like TV, even their squash matches versus the WWF's. The WWF guys would do like their 3 moves, their finish, and it's done. WCW squash matches, guys would just go out there and do whatever.
Yep.
They would have matches, you know. And sometimes it wouldn't go so well. Like I've gone back especially on my streams and I've seen many a Terry Taylor squash match that goes 9.5 minutes for no reason. He just wanted to go out and work. But at the
Yeah.
same time, sometimes you'll get like a real good little deal. They'll actually work with the enhancement guy. It'll look good. It'll be interesting. I think it's a lot more interesting than every squash match going 90 seconds and it's the
Right.
same 3 moves and then you do your finish and then you look at the camera and then Vince McMahon pitches to the little inset promo. Same thing every time. Like I think I just got bored of it. Whereas WCW
Yep.
felt like, oh, this is actually in the reality we are in and
Yep.
not off on Neptune, you know? Um, which, you know, kind of leading to where we're going here. 2001 WCW died, and I'm like, well, I mean, I'll watch the WWF. It's in a ring, but
Yeah.
I want something more. So I'm like 12 years old. My mom just got a computer with the internet, and like that Christmas before, I found out that my grandma, who lives in Mooresville, which is just outside of Indianapolis, they have this low power station that is they're somehow connected to the America One network, which is a really low power set of stations that like I don't think even exist anymore. But they would have like this 6 hour wrestling block, and it was like ECW TV, XBW TV, Burt Prentice's TV, some local show that like you could barely see because it looked like they taped over a tape, over a tape, over a tape.
So they were Ole
Um,
Anderson.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they would just tape over the same tape every week and then trade it back and forth. And then NWA Wildside. And I remember seeing AJ Styles on there and thinking, this is the coolest wrestler I've ever seen. And then he gets like the 2 weeks on WCW TV, and it's like, oh crap, I don't get to see him anymore. So I find, you know, I tried to have my grandma tape the shows for me. Um, didn't work out so well. Got a lot of
No,
static.
no.
Like, and there was the one time she like actually sat down and watched it, and it happened to be when XPW was on,
Uh-oh.
and she's like, "Tommy, what are you having me? This is awful." And then she picks up. She had a little Jesus statue by the entertainment center. She's like, "This is the household that your mom was raised in. Why is she letting you watch?" I'm like, "I don't know, mom, because she doesn't pay attention to me. I don't know." Um, Anyway, so I ended up
Anyway.
going. I found Wildside's website. I started buying tapes through them, and then through that, I started finding tape traders because you see, spending $20 on a tape, one show is awful for a child. You know, I didn't
Right.
have a job. I'm 13 years old. So I would find people that would send me worse copies of the tapes for like $5. But through them, I start getting into like the message boards and stuff. Um, I find out about these other companies, and then in fall of 2000, well, TNA already started happening, so I knew AJ was working TNA pay-per-views. We didn't get TNA pay-per-views though, where I was in Crawfordsville, which I always thought was weird. Um, we got everything else, but for some reason they would not let us order TNA pay-per-views. Maybe they were trying to save us.
Maybe.
Um, maybe, but
Commend them
it's
for
a
that.
yes. But I learned on the Death Valley Driver message board that IWA is bringing in AJ Styles for the TPI. I'm like, wait, this is in Indiana? AJ Styles is in Indiana. Granted, the opposite end of Indiana, but still, I'm like, this is cool. Um, and so I start looking up everything about IWA and where to get the tapes and yada yada. Um, and so I ordered the 2002 Ted Petty from Smart Mark Video, and it's like the marijuana that would eventually get me into heroin. It was
The gateway drug, huh?
yeah, yeah, it was. It's like this is so different than everything else because like I was watching, I made the mistake of letting Rob Feinstein have my mom's home
Uh-oh.
address to send me
Oh God.
tapes.
Oh
Dude, I
God.
got so much mail from Rob Feinstein throughout the years.
Did he
Not
ever
like
ask you, did
photos.
he ever ask you how old you were?
Thankfully not.
Okay.
I had an experience with another tape trader like that, but
Oh
that's
Jesus.
that's for another time. He would mail me the Wrestling Observer newsletter after he read it. Like I would get it like 3 weeks later. And he's like, "Hey, can I come read it with you sometime?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm 14." He's like, "I don't care." I'm
Oh,
like, "No."
oh,
Anyway, going back
oh.
to IWA. Going back to IWA. Uh so I get the Ted Petty, and it's like the wrestling's really good, but it's like Ring of Honor's like fancy. It's got these lights, and it feels crisp and overproduced. And like Wildside wasn't overproduced, but it was like a TV show. And the Super 8, they still had like the fancy entrance and the lights. This feels raw and gritty and uh, kind of like the WCW. These feel like real people. Like immediately, it kind of, it's like you got to learn about all the personalities, not just in the ring, but like you and Dave on commentary, and like you quickly learn about like people in the crowd, the crazy pipe guy,
Right.
and like it's like this whole universe is so much fun to me, and I was hooked, and I started here's my scheme that I would pull. It just came to mind. So when I was in middle school, this is back before you could just like load money onto like a digital wallet. Like that's what I do for my kids now at school is I just like Venmo them, like Venmo the digital wallet $10 and
Right.
they're covered. My mom would give me like $15 every week for lunch in cash. I would then not eat lunch that week and instead spend that money on wrestling tapes. And that's what I did.
Oh,
Um, at first, and I was a lot
that's a
thinner
great
back
diet
then.
plan.
Yeah, it is. I was very thin for quite a bit in middle and high school. I should go back to that. But what yeah, I would at first I was buying them from Smart Mark Video. Shout out Mike Burns and the boys. Uh, and again, then it's like, oh well, I could get if I go to the bootleggers, I could get 3 shows for the price of one. It would just be a little worse quality. So I was bootlegging, and then
Statute of
I,
limitations has expired.
yeah, so yeah, I'm not going to get sued by Ian Rotten. He's not going to get a lawyer. Sorry. Who I'm assuming is just a guy that he met at like Target or something.
At the boat. What are you talking about?
At the boat. Oh, at the boat. Sorry. How of course it's Ian. Um, but what I so I was doing tape reviews online. I would like write up like I knew anything. I was a 13-year-old kid telling like Ace Steel and Chris Hero, hey, your work rate's great and your headlocks are so good. Um, People listened to me for some reason. But I was doing it for NWA Wildside too. And I befriended a lot of the wrestlers who were just happy that somebody was talking about them online. And there's this manager there, Jeff G. Bailey, who I know he does commentary sometimes for No Holds Barred, the Chains group.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I just
yeah,
saw a graphic
yeah,
today that
yeah.
had him on it.
he was like the you of the South, but he would say way more fucked up things. Like he did a promo once where he talked about how his guys were going to handle some baby faces in the Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold way, those being the Columbine shooters.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so he would go really far. But he's like, listen, I'm secretly selling tapes under my girlfriend's name, and I'm trying to get this off the ground. I will send you master quality Wildside stuff if you start plugging that you're getting it from my girlfriend Melanie. Like, okay, cool. He was a deathmatch guy too, so he had IWA stuff. So he was sending me a lot of my IWA stuff at the time too.
Okay.
And so I would put a little blurb at the beginning of the Wildside reviews, like, hey, you can get this from Melanie McKee, blah, 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 blah. And for some reason, Bill Behrens was cool with this. I never understood why, but like he was getting master stuff from Bill Behrens and then selling it like unedited from the TV tapings before it would air.
No, maybe he was
Um,
given a kickback.
yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
But
Or
there
Bill
was
didn't
a
know.
yeah, maybe because Bill wasn't really involved in the editing of the show, from what I've heard. So and I know he was with Andrew Thomas, the referee. Anyway, going back to IWA, I wrote a review for it was either Ultra Styles Clash Weekend or Spirit of '76. They're both around the same time, early '03. And I had a template and the blurb for IWA, it said get it from Smart Rock Video, blah 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 blah. I used the wrong template. And I put at the beginning of the IWA review, get this tape from Melanie McKee. And I posted it on the IWA board. And you were not happy. So not happy that I think it was Spirit of 70s. I think it was Ultra Styles Clash because I think Spirit of 76. There's some match where Dave's like, yeah, get prior IWA tapes from Smart Work Video. And you go, or like some brat on the internet says, you can buy them from some bitch named Melanie for $5. I'm like,
that
cool.
definitely sounds like something I would
Yeah,
have done
yeah,
at the time.
yeah. So I'm like, oh, cool. I've got heat. I've never even been to a show before. um, but yeah. So that's
Okay.
how my love of the style of wrestling I like is essentially what you guys were doing. And it's
Okay.
like you guys are so close to home. And I feel like I'm speed running through a lot of the format, but it's just coming out of my
You know,
mouth.
that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a little different when it's not a wrestler to go like, okay, you had this match and then you had this match.
Yeah. See, I don't have any
So
matches for you to go through. I don't
right.
have a
So
cage match.
so this is what this is just how it is, and I'm liking how it's going so far. Except
Awesome.
now that I
Okay.
know that you are a bootlegger.
Yeah. Darn it. I got caught.
Now I want
It's
that chain back from your kid, damn it.
yeah, he's not here tonight. He's staying the night with a friend and he took it with him, which I'm scared to death about.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, so but I'll let him know. It's not like I bootleg things every week on Twitch anyway. So but I really wanted to go to Clarksville, right? It was because it's in Indiana, but like Clarksville's, I think, 3 hours away from where I was. So it's like it was Indiana, it was in Indiana, but might as well not have been,
Right.
especially when
Well,
I didn't have a
to
license.
to like a 14-year-old, that might as
Yeah,
well be California,
yeah,
What are you gonna do? Hitchhike?
yeah. So what I would show tapes to my friends that I knew liked wrestling, like this stuff is so much better than Monday Night Raw, and we could just go to it, because I would hang out with like older kids that liked wrestling because there were only like 7 of us in the entire school system, so we all had to find each other, and um, so they would get really close. Like, yeah, we'll drive down to Clarksville. I think the 2003 Strong Style tournament, I had somebody on the hook. Like, this is finally gonna happen. I'm so excited. And then he backs up to the last minute because he watched a bad motherfuckers segment of some kind where they like lay out everybody. And he freaks out. He's like, they're gonna hit me if I yell at them. Like, I can't
Well,
guarantee
yeah,
that they
yeah,
won't.
yeah. With Bull and Todd and Mitch,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a possibility.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I
a
mean,
possibility.
I was scared to death of them,
It,
but
if,
I'm
if
like,
not if not beat up, you at least a 40% chance that you'd be wearing a snot rocket,
yeah,
courtesy of Bull
yeah,
Paid. What?
yeah. but he chickened out. But then you guys lost the Corksville building, a summer of '03, and Ian like, we're gonna start running all over Indiana. Instead of like having the one building focus like you guys had for so many years with Charlestown and Clarksville, and I mean even the old Kmart building, which I
Right.
think is it was IWA at its best when it had one central place. I know Nick's talked about it before.
Right.
Like Ian had a really good mind for like weekly booking. So like him going to like, we're gonna run Rensselaer and Valparaiso and Vincent's. I don't know if it worked out as well, but it worked out great for me because y'all came to Lafayette, and that was like 40 minutes away. And that's when I got to start going to shows. Um, Starting with the first one, which I got to talk about the National Guard Armory in Lafayette. It is so out in the middle of nowhere.
It is. I
Yeah.
cannot I cannot emphasize this enough to people that have not, you hear Lafayette, Indiana, if you're familiar with like college sports, you're like, oh, that's Purdue University. That's gotta be like a happening place. Purdue University's a big time university. It's in the Big Ten, that's about as big as it can get. And they're at the time, they might have had, like, you were close to Drew Brees and Mike Allstott's time there. So the football team was, semi good. And the basketball team had that coach that, had the bad toupee and,
Yeah.
would feud with Bobby Knight. What was it? Gene
Gene
Keady or
Katie. Yeah.
Katie, however it
Yeah.
was pronounced. So, I mean, Purdue sports were kind of like, so, if you follow stuff like that, you'd think, okay, Lafayette, that's a thriving, for an IWA town, that's a thriving metropolis. And yet the Armory is so far out, like nothing around it, nothing
like
around it.
like
But
Lafayette, yeah, Lafayette to Crawfordsville. That's where we all would go on weekends to like have fun because there's nothing in Crawfordsville. So my friend and I that went to the show, we were very familiar with Lafayette. We could not find the Armory. It took us it took us 2 hours. We left so early, and yet we somehow didn't find it until I think the third match.
wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, how like Ian has a talent for just finding these buildings that nobody can get to.
Well,
Um,
in a lot of it, he wouldn't even go to the town.
yeah.
He would just like, we'd have a show at an armory, and then he'd be like, hey, talking to the whatever military guy that he was, dealing with at that building. Um, what's another armory? And the
Right. Yeah.
dude would be like, oh, well, my friend, he runs the such and such armory. And Ian B, what's the number? And get the number, and then he would just call sight unseen, town unseen, neighborhood unseen. Like he would just like, okay, and his whole thing was, I don't. He did not care how many people came through the door because
Hey.
he was living and breathing off of the Smart Mark sales, which were booming at the time,
Yeah.
despite
Despite me.
Megan, despite you and
Yeah.
Megan, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jeff
Melanie and
Bailey
yeah.
selling shit,
Yeah.
bootlegging it.
Yeah. Well, see, here's what I would do. Once I started going to IWA shows, what I would do is I would get a tape and that I would post on like these like underground message boards. Like, hey, I just got this new IWA tape. I would get like 6 people to pay me like $5 or $10 each. I would dub it for them, send it to them, and then I would go to the next IWA show and buy more tapes. So ethically, I'm in like a
Middle ground there,
yeah,
something.
middle ground because I would put it back into the IWA economy.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
But also the trick with that, by the way, is I would always look for the tape with the Smart Rock video label because the tapes that had the IWA label were dubs. Whereas
Right.
sometimes he would accidentally put out the Smart Mark tape that he was dubbing stuff off of. That's the good quality tape.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So, but no, and actually, you bring up Ian not coming to the towns. That's kind of how I got in with the next step would be I was always going to Lafayette shows for a few months, and then I think Ian posted on the message board like, "Hey, is anybody willing to like flyer?" Because of course he couldn't be bothered to come to Lafayette and do it himself. I'm like, hey, I don't live in Lafayette, but Crawfordsville's right over here. We got Wabash College. You know, it's a pretty decent sized town. A lot of, especially it was like January, so like the it was an all boys college. They're all like rowdy dudes. Just give me a bunch of flyers. I'll go over there and hand them out. And hey, come watch wrestling. Um, and so he had given flyers to these dudes in Lafayette and told them, hey, just give some to this kid, shut him up, you know. And I made friends with those guys. Um, and to this day, I'm still really good friends with most of them. Like Tom Perry and the Doherty brothers, Todd, Isaac, Danny. They used to go to Clarksville and Charlestown.
Okay,
And
Tom Perry, I think I remember him.
yes,
The
so
other one,
he was the one that he would of the all of them he would post on the internet the most.
Okay.
So that's probably why. He's the one I don't talk to as much anymore because he started posting some wackadoodle stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, no, thank you. But like Todd and Isaac and Danny, like they were in my wedding. My kids call them uncle, you know, so
Okay.
because of IWA, you know, I literally made family. So I appreciate that.
And wasn't there, not that you were a
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
so I hope you weren't maybe hanging out, but there also a guy that would come to like every Lafayette show that was like a furry or something?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You're okay. He wasn't in their friend group, but I know who you're talking about because I rode with them to a Highland show once.
Okay.
His name's like Zodo or Zobo,
And he was like
or
bald with a big beard,
bald,
right?
the Jim Neidhart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Jim Neidhart
Yeah.
baby. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
So I know he wasn't in like our group, but yeah, he would be at like every show, and I rode with them once, and I remember
He is the main culprit responsible for the sports bra moment, by the way.
gotcha. Okay.
Because it was that we did that handicap match
Yeah.
with like Boz, Danny, and me versus Ian and Stone,
Yeah.
and I had the Gymomania tank top, and I think that dude was one of the main culprits that was yelling "wear a bra" at me.
So I was hoping that story wouldn't be, oh yeah, and then he just pulls out a sports bra and is like,
No,
here,
no, 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 no,
Jim.
no, no.
Okay, okay, he was
No, but
yelling, wear a sports bra. Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
He like he like ringleaded, and I mean it's not.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people there, so it's not like this loud
Yeah.
chant or anything. But there was a lot of people yelling at me throughout the match to wear a
Yeah.
bra.
Yeah.
So then when we started, like, as it just kept getting crazier and crazier as we're going over it in the back, you know, I'm like, okay, they had this chant earlier, you know, 1-2 shows before this one. I went to Mickey and was like, can I wear your sports bra? And she was like, okay.
I was gonna say, yeah.
All right. That sounds, I don't know. I don't want to know any more than that. Just here you go.
Yeah. There was a furry out in the crowd asking me to wear
there
a
was
bra.
a furry out in the crowd that was really wanting to see me in a bra. So let's give the people what they
he's one
for.
of the 18 people that showed up, so we got to give him what he wants.
Right.
Right. I remember the one show I flyered for, Lafayette attendance did go up a little bit, but it went from like 40 to 80, I think. So it's not like it was like, oh my goodness, I did this and then IWA did great. No, it's like some more people showed up. But I made friends with them, and they're like, listen, if you can get to Lafayette, we go to like every Highland show. And I'm like, yes, please. Because my friends didn't want to leave, you know, the 40-mile radius. They were 40-miler fans. Whereas I was like, I don't hook up with girls. I don't do drugs. I just want to go to wrestling because I was that big of a dork. Please take me to all the wrestling shows.
See, well, we needed more use.
Yeah.
You know, we needed more of the people, you know, sure, I'll put myself into some skeevy situations and it's like
and I would lie to my mom. I would lie to my mom and be like, oh yeah, I'll just be in Lafayette with my friend Nathan, who was like another teenager for the weekend. And it's like, no, I'm crossing state lines with like a grown man. Probably, which later on at my wedding, one of them got on the mic to like give like the groomsman speech. And he's like, yeah, I remember when we first met Tom when he was a child, and we would take him because he thought I started going with them to like Charlestown. His memory was messed up. Like we would take him down to Kentucky, and my mom gets up out of the table. I'm not kidding. Grabs me by the ear and goes, "What the fuck were you doing?" I'm like a grown man, and she grounds me. Um, but yeah, I would just lie and be like, "Yeah, I'm with other teenagers doing normal things." But no, I was with grown men watching wrestling. God, those Highland shows. Like it's one thing to experience IWA in front of like 30 people in a cold, cavernous armory. It's another thing when IWA is in its element and there's a crowd and they're reacting to things.
Right.
And then
But even that, it's not like, I've said on here countless times, I'm not sure where I would draw the line as to like what I wouldn't have given to have been able to been in like the Jim Cornette position, managing the Midnight Express against the Rock and Roll Express for Crockett, and have those crowds in the way that those crowds reacted. Because the Highland was a great crowd for us, and I'm not going to knock them.
They were a
But
little more like
the reaction,
yeah, yeah.
They were like a Japanese crowd, or
Yeah.
a golf crowd, and they would give their approvals
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
This
whatever.
wasn't like
But
this wasn't like when like
they weren't like building falling down from shaking because
right.
they're screaming and yelling and jumping around so much
Right.
that,
Yeah.
that you
No.
would see that you would see on those 80s tapes. And
Right. And even like some of like the bigger like Charlestown shows or like the Clarksville Riot, which that's still one of my favorite things in wrestling ever. Like the visual of Tracy walking around with the barbed wire bat sticking out of his back. Crazy. But like no, just like my first show was the Dark Mark Video Highland show, which I'm glad I was there live because I wouldn't have been able to see it otherwise. Um, but it that was cool. But then the next month was simply the best five, where it seems like that's when Ian was like, oh, there are a lot of people here. I can spend even more money and lose, and I'm gonna bring in this guy and this guy and that guy. I'm gonna bring in X Division champion Michael Shane as a surprise and not advertise him.
right,
Um, you know,
right, yeah,
and
that became like the Highland thing. Was like every month there would be a surprise guy,
yeah,
and
which I mean, I kind of get it because like you do want to sell the tape, and also you couldn't fit a lot more people in that building because that's something else Highland people don't talk about. It's not that big of a gym. Like it's like what 200 you would say, maybe 250 you could get in there. Like
yeah,
not
that
that
was
much. Yeah.
yeah, not
Like
much,
the
not much
Lafayette
beyond
Armory
that.
was cavernous, I felt
Right,
like it's just nobody
right.
showed
The
up.
the the armories, you could fit like. Don't ask me on air how I know
Yeah.
this, but the armories capacities are like listed at like 750, 850, 900. That you could fit in there for his stuff. So like much more space in the armories than there was at the Highland Gym. The Highland Gym, yeah, 250 to 300 might have been really max.
Yeah. So like even if let's say I don't know what's the biggest attendance there. Maybe I don't know if it's simply the best five or TPI, whichever one of those was like the biggest attendance. If it didn't sell out, it certainly looked like it because there's not a lot of room in there. And the
Yeah.
ceiling wasn't low, but it's lower than some buildings. So like all that, so like when it like Joe Hero, for instance, when that crowd's going back and forth, it sounds so much louder. It was loud, but it sounds so much louder because the noise is all kind of compact. And
Yeah,
plus,
that was
for some,
probably that crowd was probably the closest that we came to having that Crockett fan
yeah,
feel, and that night it was organic.
yeah,
And then like
and then it just became like,
there would be moments after that the fans would try, but they were trying to recreate that organic moment, and that never is going to have that same feeling, where you're just doing it to do it kind of
Right.
deal. But that, and I don't know about you, you've seen a hell of a lot more wrestling than I have, but I always tell people that the dueling chant got its beginning at that Joe Hero match. And if
So
it
I
wasn't
think, yeah.
if it wasn't the beginning, it was right at the beginning phases of it, because I had never
Yeah.
heard it like that before. And then you just always heard it after that.
There were a couple of Ring of Honor matches in like '03 where people did it, but it was like, hey, we like both of you, so we're just gonna chant for both. It wasn't like passionate. Whereas Joe Hero, like, you don't see it on video, but like there's a couple points where there were people up in each other's faces chanting, "Let's go Hero, let's go Joe." Because and you've mentioned this on here before, how you did not like that Ian put Joe over. There was this feeling in that building that I don't think it's talked about much, where you had the you had like IWA fans, either folks who had been going to shows or folks who had been watching the shows for years. We're like, oh, cool, IWA's in the Chicagoland region. This is cool. And then you had the fans who were coming because they got a flyer at Ring of Honor in Chicago Ridge. And
Right.
they were just there to see Joe and Punk and whoever else they knew from ROH.
Right.
But these IWA guys, this Danny Daniels, this Trick Davis, Ryan, I don't care about those guys. And like it was starting to brew a little bit. Like as a fan, I felt like, and like you could see it on the message board. Like God, the IWA message board. There was some, there was yeah. Talk about Twitter being a wasteland. There were some arguments on that thing. Holy, hey. But you would see like the Chicago ROH fans kind of get shut down by like the IW. You're not a real IWA fan
Right.
because you didn't see this one cam from Clarksville in May of 2003 that like they probably sold 7 copies of. So you can't talk about IWA. So the two guys were kind of getting volatile towards each other. And then you have like the icon of Ring of Honor against the icon of IWA.
Right.
And like it's the match everybody asked for when Prazak first posted on the message board that Joe was coming. Like I think he wrestled BJ in his debut, and people are like, "Why not Hero?" But Hero was on his
And
hiatus.
and I was
Yeah,
livid that night too.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Because Joe
especially
went over BJ.
right.
Yeah. But like, that's the match everybody wanted. And also, there was a whole thing on the internet at the time because Gabe Sapolsky put his foot in his mouth and was like, "Well, I can't really book Chris Hero because he wears a shirt and he's not in shape." It's like, dude, how can you not be in shape when you're wrestling like 65 minutes every night?
Right.
Like, I get he's not a bodybuilder, but
Same.
come
Well,
on, dude.
Meltzer and people would say that shit about Dusty Rhodes every night. Like him and Flair are doing 60 minutes every fucking
Yeah,
night, and the
yeah,
crowd is eating it up with a spoon. So shut
yeah,
the fuck up, you know?
yeah. Like, how can you watch Punk and Hero go 90 minutes and go, "Oh, that guy's not an athlete"?
Right.
Anyway, so you had that brewing too, where like ROH fans would like parrot that stuff on the internet too, and be like, "Oh, well, this Chris Hero guy just sits in cravats for 40 minutes and he doesn't go to the gym." Ugh. So there was like hostility, and then yeah, it just all blew up in this perfect moment. Like you said, cannot be replicated, and boy, have people tried.
It
It
came
is
it
not
came
worked.
close. Joe Necro, it came
Joe
close.
Necro, yeah,
That was probably the closest that it came to the Hero Joe
yeah.
organicness, I think, of it. But even that, I think, was paled to that night, because even though I've said 100,000 times on here, never watched the match, refused to watch it, but I had goosebumps in the dressing room listening to that crowd. I had goosebumps, and I was like, damn it, if and I
Yeah.
think
Why couldn't he be in the superheroes in this match? I could be out there.
right.
No.
It's like, and I pull out a damn bat and
Yeah.
knock Joe over the head 12 times with it, and do the
Like,
3 count myself, and then just run the hell out of there,
yeah. Be like, hey, Chris Hero's the new ROH champion. Fuck you.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. But Yeah, no, that was if and
Then
well,
Gabe would have had a
imagine,
reason to treat me like shit at the one
yeah,
show that I attended.
God,
You know,
yeah, God, Gabe, Gabe, that guy. Anyway, I don't care for him myself, so I'm glad we agree on that. Um, but no, that's if I'm sure everybody, like if you're an IWA fan, hardcore enough to listen to us talk about IWA for an hour plus and all the other shows, you've probably seen it. But I urge everybody to go watch it. Like it's so loud that Prazak and Allison Danger are sitting right next to each other on commentary. They can't hear each other. Like like the commentators, huh? What? Because the chants are so loud. And like I said, there were people like I don't know if they were gonna fight necessarily. Like I don't want to go that far and sound like an old Memphis guy that's like every night I was fighting fans off with knives.
so you
I don't
said
think it was like
Allison
that.
Danger was the one that was on
Yeah,
commentary.
Allison Danger and Prazak were the
Did
commentators.
she walk away and let the chants hit the ground?
Yeah, no, yeah, they kept sitting like they after a while, it's like I see what you did there.
Oh,
Sorry, I was but no, they uh they just kept saying, I can't hear you, Dave. I can't hear you. What'd you say? Because the chants just kept going. And
yeah,
this
it was
isn't
nonstop.
like the whole match. And like you could tell the guys in the ring were not expecting it because they were doing, the Chris Hero opening with the wrist lock under the cravat. And then like 5 minutes in, they're like, this isn't gonna stop. So Hero just rears back and nails Joe, and they have to change up the match on the fly. You can tell. Like they're reacting to
Well,
what's
and
going on.
that's the mark of great workers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when
Absolutely.
you go with what the crowd is telling you they want. You know, you don't go out there and nope, this is what we planned in the back, and this is what we're going to do. By God, and they're either going to like it or they're not. You the crowd will tell you what they want. It's your job to give it to them. You know,
And
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 and those guys were able to go out there and flip it on a dime and go with the flow of what the crowd was dictating, and I'm completely for that.
yeah, yeah, we need more of that in wrestling. I think part of it is though, we don't have places like IWA where, Hero was in that ring what every Wednesday, every Friday, every Saturday, some Sundays. He was working so much through
Right.
IWA that it became second nature to him. Like so he could do that. And there's nowhere like that now. So I don't want to get on these kids these days thing.
Right. Well, I mean,
Uh
sometimes you have to, and
yeah.
I'll like Wrestle Arts. They'll reach out to me after every show, and they'll be like, "Okay, what did you think? What do we need to do better? What do you think that somebody can work on? Like, what kind of advice should we be giving these kids?" And it's like not just the wrestle. It's like every show that, not that I've done a ton here, but
Yeah.
the shows that I have done, like it's night and day different than how things were in the like IWA. You'd be told he's up with his finisher 12 minutes, and then they just pretty much call it in the ring. There
And
wouldn't be. Now these guys go over the match, literally go over the match 28 times, and they change it each time, and then they go out in the ring, and a lot of them are like, it all melts into like one thing, and so wrestler A is doing shit from the first, the eighth, the 12th, and the 17th, and the 28th time that they went over it, while wrestler B's going over, he's doing 22 and one, and then five, and they're all discombobulated and not on the same page. It's like, you've gone over this too goddamn much. And I mean, if you're gonna do that, you damn well better make sure that you're going over it the same way every single time. And there's been like a few times where I'll just have to like pull my guy aside and be like, my spot has changed 5 different times. What am I doing? Oh, we didn't keep it the same. No, not even close to the same. And I was like, and that's just my little part. The rest, like, nothing was even remotely similar with some of this stuff. And it's like, and then like the look on their face would be like, oh, well, back in like, we wouldn't even talk about like, I've talked on here on me and Mitch would be asleep in the heel locker room until his song was playing. And then we'd be like, oh shit, we got to go to the ring. And you just get out there and you just call it in the ring. Fuck it. And now it's, so sometimes these kids, they do need a little bit of these damn kids these days.
Yeah. I love watching I call it locker room kung fu when guys are going over there. I do this and then I do this and I do this and I do this. And they just look so silly. Like if you don't know what they're doing, it just looks like they have like ticks all over them they're trying to get off. But it's like, guys, you could just,
Is this a mime convention? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna hurt yourself if you keep moving like that, dude. Jeez. But anyway, so yeah, Joe Hero ruled. But there's like this summer of Highland where Ian just goes nuts with the budget. I don't even want to know how much was spent on some of these shows. Like it's like half the TNA locker room, half the ROH locker room, plus all the people from IWA he's already booking. It's like a really long show. There are 200 people or whatever in attendance. So, I mean, there are ticket sales, but still, I cannot imagine what the envelope handed out at the end of the rank looked like. But it wasn't mine to worry about. I loved the shows.
Right.
Like
well, and it was always much worse than what it needed to be because it would always be last second airline, get the ticket at the last second when it's the most fucking expensive that it could possibly be. It's like, get this shit ahead of time. Yeah. Oh, well, and no, I can't get it. Then don't book them.
Yeah. And like, here's the thing, like, and this is me as an older 38-year-old man, not the teenager that was like, oh my goodness, so much wrestling. Now I'd be like, well, listen, if somebody's coming for Samoa Joe, you don't need to also book, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy from Ring of Honor, because all the same fans will come for one, or they'll come for all of them. Right. Again, when I was, younger, I'm like, yes, Ian, please spend so much money to please me. But yeah, now I see the point of, bring in the one guy that'll draw that fan base, and you don't have to spend money to randomly reunite Punk and Cabana after Punk hasn't wrestled in IWA for 2 years, or bring in half the PWG locker room for a tag tournament, or well, that tag tournament is a lot of fun because it's a lot of Ian 420 booking. I feel like
there was a lot of that on every show.
Yeah, but like Tracy and Chris Hamrick working with like all the like young ROH and PWG guys. That's something that only IWA would do, and those guys all probably benefited so much from it. Like I don't think ROH would have brought in Tracy and had him put him over like every hot young indie wrestler in one night. But thankfully Ian did,
well, and along those lines, and you said, well, just bring in Joe.
Yeah.
And you'll get that fan base. But like stuff that came out of that, Ian was the first one to put Austin Aries in the ring with Joe.
Right.
Ring of Honor wasn't doing that.
Oh, Roderick Strong and Joe was
Roderick Strong. And there was like so many guys that Ian gave put in there, and then 2 months later it's the Ring of Honor show, and then they get the credit for everything.
Yeah. Oh, I specifically remember Roderick Strong was not a Ring of Honor guy. Ian booked him against Jimmy Jacobs in Olytic for like it was simply the best weekend. Like when Roderick Strong got announced, I remember people in the message were like, "Who's this guy? Never heard of him." And then he goes out and he like throws Jimmy in like 100 different ways and makes all these like cool highlights on the internet. And then a month later, he's in the top heel group in Ring of Honor, but yet Gabe doesn't watch IWA.
It's just 75% of his roster, but yeah, he didn't know who I was, didn't know who any of us were, but
like Aries, you mentioned, he had, I remember him and Matt Sydal tore it up in Lafayette once. It wasn't even like a smart mark but Aries has a really great match with Matt Sydal, and 6 weeks later, he's the leader of Generation Next in Ring of Honor. I'm like, I have to imagine that Gabe Sapolsky was like Smart Mark Video's biggest contributor financially during this
Probably,
time. Yeah,
probably.
under like a pseudonym,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm not again. I'm not bitter with you that like half the IWA roster bailed to go wrestle for Ring of Honor, and then they would come back and like only do like one show every 6 months or whatever. Not like you needed to put anyone over after you got the shine there. Anyway, but then we got TPIO 4, and you mentioned when you reached out to me the video I did about it, which thank you so
Yeah,
much for the kind
everybody, if you have
words.
not seen the video that Tom did for the 2004 TPI, go watch it right now. You can even stop this podcast, go watch it, and then come back. I'll even let you do that because it is that good.
Thank you.
One
I
hell of a
appreciate it.
one hell of a video, and it put together like a lot of a lot of thoughts that were similar to my how I look at it, and you know me and Connor Hopkins are a tandem now because of his love for the 2004 TPI, and I mean just the impact that show has had on so many people. And you look at the lineup and you realize, I think WWE even might have been in like Japan or something on some show. I remember they redid the finals
Yep.
of the 2004 TPI and ran it on a WWE show. It was that damn good. Um, and
Like,
it's just baffling how we were able to put together something like that that had that many people that would just go on to superstardom in the
and
business.
and I think that's the I just forgot the phrase, but like, yeah, there are times where definitely what I just said about only booking the one guy instead of like 10 of them makes sense. But this is the exception to the rule. Like,
Yeah,
when you do the super tournament like this, I mean, this is the ultimate super tournament. I mean, I don't even at least half of those guys went on to be multi-time world champions.
right,
Uh like there are more guys that like even like the guys that didn't go on to do as much still got on TV somewhere. You know,
right,
like Sournaro for I love Sournaro, so I'm not burying him. But like he still went on to do like ROH TV on HDNet, and he's like one of Billy Corgan's like top generals in the NWA right now. Like, he's like even the one of the guys you look at like, oh well, he didn't end up headlining this stadium and that stadium. He still made a living in wrestling. Which how many tournaments? You go through the years, all these big super tournaments that promotions have put on, and there's always some guys that it's like, oh well, that guy kind of died out like that year or something. Whereas pretty much everyone
and
in
the
the
ones that people would hold in as high a regard
yeah
because of like the success rate of the people, like those were like 8-man tournaments.
yeah yeah like
So
the
they only
2001
had to hit on
Super.
8.
Yeah, yeah,
We had 24.
yeah. Like that locker room that night, I bet if you added up, it would it would blow people's minds how many millions of dollars those people went on to make combined. Like, and I know there was criticism at the time that it's like, oh, Ian, why are you booking AJ, Danielson, and Joe as the finals to an IWA tournament? But again, I feel like it's the exception to the rule, where it's like, when are we ever going to have all these people in the same building again? We got to go for it, and there's also this whole days at the end of the two nights, because that match went on at like what 1 a.m.
At
like
least.
after seven hours of wrestling. Like, so like we're all kind of in like a daze between like being really excited and also being sleep deprived.
Right.
Where it just almost felt like a dream, like live. Like that's kind of how like my memory of it is, being in the is like almost like the Saved by the Bell dream sequence where like it's all wavy and stuff. Um, but gosh, what a great 2 nights of wrestling. And like you've mentioned on here before, Chris Candido came out match 2 as a big surprise. Like that's how loaded this thing is.
Right.
Like
Well,
like
it had to
and part of it, yeah.
it had to get moved up because he was like driving Ian insane in the locker room because he was like, I
Which,
can't be back here this long. I need
which
out there.
which
And
that's another highlight of Highland was a lot of the Candido comeback was the Highland shows. And
yep.
seeing him and I'll occasionally go back and watch a Highland show that he's on, and you hear him on commentary, and it's so cool to hear a veteran like him that's like, this is so great. He's clearly so pumped up to be around all these young kids who, granted, are probably doing things he would suggest they don't, but they love wrestling. And he's in this crowd, the crowd loves wrestling. He's in a good environment, he's in a good place. And I think it's really cool that those shows are also documentation of like Chris was really making a good comeback, and he was so happy and so excited. And that's another high point of the Highland run.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
there was a couple of times during his run where like he would call me and he'd be like, JJ, you got to get me on these shows. Cause like there would be like a couple of times where we'd be doing the shows and like Ian wouldn't bring him in because he's like, I can't pay. And he's like, tell him I don't care. Just get me in there. I need to be on these, I want to be on these shows. I want to be there. And, and I'd be like, well, I'll put in a word for you, but he's not gonna, he's not gonna listen to me on things. And especially when I'm the one coming to him, telling him to spend more money, he's gonna be like, what the, after all the damn times that I've gotten lectured from you that I need to be spending less, and now and I'm like, oh well, Candido's the exception, like take two other guys off the show and get Candido here
yeah.
because I enjoyed having him around so much. But you hit the nail on the head with that. He was so excited to be on those shows and to be around those guys and just to watch. And it was crazy when Ian would like book him against any of those guys, and he'd be like, I can't compete with that. You can't put me in there with like, because wasn't there like he put wasn't like one of the matches like Candido versus AJ?
Yeah, so Candido and AJ wrestled in Bloomington, I think.
Yeah, and
And
like
then
and
and then the
Candido
guy
was like,
got him a TNA job.
and then Candido was like freaking out. He was like, I can't get in there with it. What do you put like? I can't. All I can do is pull my pants down. What do you do? And we had to keep going. Chris, you're a hell of a lot more than that. You don't beat yourself up here. You still have it. You can still go. You can still provide a hell of a match with these guys. And then he went out there and he had a hell of a match with AJ, and
And then I remember hearing like that's the match that got him into TNA. Like AJ went back. It's like this guy's killing it. We and then Candido ends up starting to do TNA stuff, which uh
which
I
killed
mean
him.
that yeah, which unfortunately yeah, because they had to put a fucking cameraman inside of a cage. That's so like why couldn't you just cut a hole in the cage, put it through? But no, Chris was taking care of him. It wasn't like Chris was running around reckless. Chris was making sure the guy that got stuck in the cage didn't get hit by him, and because of that, anyway. But it's but like the fact that there's documentation of Chris's comeback on those shows, and like we see and I'm bringing this up because I know it's something the person we talked about. Like Larry Sweeney starts to take off on those Highland shows. Like that
Yes.
last 6 months is like he had been doing Chikara, but Chikara wasn't watched by as many people at the time. He starts doing IWA. He debuted at the TPI in like a Chikara 8-man. Like no Trick was in it. But like the funny thing is when Larry first started like getting noticed on the internet, everyone's like, "Oh, he's doing Mitch Ryder." like, and it turns out, well, he's borrowing from Mitch because I think Hero was showing him Mitch Ryder tapes, but he
Right.
was also borrowing from everybody. Like once we
Right.
all got to see him and experience him, but no, I think, but like Larry, he within like a month or two got enough trust that he was like, yeah, let's bring in Sonny Rogers to wrestle Larry Sweeney at Highland, and let's bring in Golden Vampire
Golden
14. Yeah,
Vampire,
God,
yes.
that's so good, so good. But just the fact that like Larry comes in like instantly and is like, okay, we got to have the Larry Sweeney segment every show, like,
Yes.
uh, but I think I'm leading into the story we talked about because we got to document this. I've told it a couple times other places, but I feel like this is a good place to tell it since we've discussed it because it has to do with IWA to an extent. Um, so Larry starts selling his Macho Man homage shirt on MySpace with the sunglasses and him pointing sweet and sour underneath it. And I had made enough from bootlegging IWA tapes that I had money to buy one. So I hit him up. I'm like, I somehow get him I forget if it was like an early PayPal thing or what, but I got him the money and he's like, what's your address? I give him my mom's address. He's like, oh, Crawfordsville, Indiana. You ever heard of a place called A Touch of Class? I'm like, sure have. How have you heard of it? And he goes, well, his grandparents were from Crawfordsville. And I guess during the summers when he was like in middle and high school, he would go stay with them for the summer. And he mentioned that on multiple occasions, he would sneak out with a fake ID and go hang out at the Touch of Class, which, like it sounds like, is a gentleman's club. Um, and then we start matching up timelines. And sure enough, we're almost positive that 16-year-old Larry Sweeney got a lap dance from my 16-year-old sister at the time. Because nobody was legal in this club. It was like a double negative. Like, is it legal because they're both minors?
Yeah, they're both the same age.
Yeah, yeah. So is it really like just because money's exchanging hands? Big whoop. But yeah, no. So every time he would see me at IWA shows, he would yell it across the room, "Touch a Class," and then he would do the Larry Sweeney laugh, and it always warms my heart thinking of it. So yeah, Larry's the best, and I'm yeah, again, like all those weird Highland matches he did were so much fun. Just again, these Highland shows are like beasts because like so many people were on them and so many people were contributing that would go on to do these great things. And I don't want to take away from other IWA eras because Ian certainly brought in a lot of folks after Highland for shows. Didn't He didn't budget like I felt like the year after Highland, he still was going off of Highland budget, and
Yeah.
some of those turnouts for some of the talent that were brought in. I don't want to be back there when the envelopes are getting passed out, but
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
what?
Budgeting was never his strong suit, but he was a wrestling fan,
Yes.
but he was a wrestling fan that, he would always say, if I was buying a ticket, I'd want to be here all night and just give me as much wrestling as humanly possible. And all of us would be going, no.
Oh, no. Nope.
A normal wrestling fan wants to fucking go home. They don't want to be here till 2 a.m. They, maybe once a year when it's, the greatest tournament ever put together, TPI,
Right.
maybe then, okay, but every goddamn show does not need to go until 12:30 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the, the building, their people want to get the fuck home. They don't want to be there all goddamn night, and so then they would come up with things like, oh, well, our 17-year-old that was watching the building that night, had to stay till 4 in the goddamn morning until you got your shit out of there. Somebody left some beer cans in the parking lot. We don't want you around anymore. Well, it's more because, every goddamn month you're there till 4 in the goddamn morning before we can get everything clean and get out of the building. Like, people just want to go home.
Like,
You're charging $10 for tickets. They got their money's worth 5 hours ago. Just call it a night.
You're good. That reminds me, I didn't put this story on the sheet, but simply the best five. I think Nick talked about it in his episode. his first one, about how like it went so late that it's the day before Easter, and right
Yes.
before the main event, Prazak gets on the house mic, looks at his watch, and goes, "Well, everyone, happy Easter! We've crossed over into the next day."
Right.
So I had made a deal with my mom because she really didn't want me going that weekend for some reason. I think it's because I had to borrow money from her to go. I was actually I wasn't doing so well on the bootlegging. But she's like, I'll give you the money for this trip, but the next morning you have to come with me and your dad to see Passion of the Christ. Because they were going with a church group.
Oh,
They were okay, so my parents are workers. They weren't going to church regularly, but they heard that there was a church giving out free tickets to an Easter screening of Passion of the Christ. So
okay.
they go to the service the week before to show their face. They get
Yeah.
free tickets.
To get the free tickets.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm up. That show goes until like 1 a.m. Central. I think Highland was Central time.
Yes,
And
Highland
then,
Central.
yeah, and then we go out to eat afterwards because we sure
That's
as
what we
hell
would
weren't
do.
gonna. Yeah, we don't. You don't have, no offense to whoever was running the hot dog machine, but not a great dinner. We would go and have an actual meal, and then we'd drive back to Lafayette, and then my friend Nathan and I would drive back to Crawfordsville. So I'm not getting home till like 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning. Um, and the screening's at 9 a.m. So after watching The Wife Beater and Corporal Robinson fail to put each other through the most indestructible table I've
Right.
ever seen, like those are
That
big dudes, and they couldn't get through it.
right.
Like and like a lot of great wrestling, but like just the fact that I go from watching a guy named Wife Beater to 10 hours later sitting in a theater watching Jesus be crucified with this church group. And like I was in a daze like the whole time because I hadn't slept in 36 hours. So it was like watching it drunk.
You didn't catch a snooze through the movie?
No, no, because everyone it was like Rocky Horror, but for Jesus freaks. They
Oh
were
my
like
God.
reacting. It was like a wrestling show, they were like, no, don't hurt him.
Jesus.
It's one of the weirdest movie experiences of my life. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, that after 6, 7 hours is simply the best, and being on the road, one of the weirdest 2 days of my life. Um, that's but that was my high school experience. Most again, a lot of kids my age were up smoking weed and having sex and doing all sorts of things in cars. I was driving all over the Midwest with grown ass men, uh, watching pro wrestling. We haven't even mentioned Shotgun Yan. I
oh,
drove to many a show with Shotgun Yan. Do you know what
and
Shotgun Yan's doing now, by the way?
I have unfortunately now seen Shotgun Yan twice in the last month after not
Okay.
having seen him in over 20 years. But I
Yeah.
do not know what he's doing now. I did not ask him.
He's taking bookings
He's taking
like
bookings.
as a
Wow.
wrestler.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, he did not
Like
mention that.
he is I believe he's still the IWA Deep South shit style champion.
Good grief.
What are Eurotrash Nikolai Cash? I know this because I have a mutual friend who will send me his promos. But you got to see how
Wow.
dumb this shit is. But it's him and the promoter of IWA Deep South and like masks doing like promos about poop, and then they go and
Okay,
like
I've heard about that. I did not know that that was Shotgun Yan. Jesus.
that's Shotgun Yan. Yeah, no,
Wow.
yeah, he's
Okay.
he's like the heel, and Kevin Brennan's the baby face, and like a Chikara mask, and they wrestle like Yan wrestled on the same show as Ricky Morton a couple months ago.
Jesus Christ.
Like it's like,
Yeah,
man,
he was at the Bloodstone wrestling show that I did
yeah.
in Logan Square. So like almost exactly a month ago, he was at that show and I saw him and I groaned to and and then there was like five, 4 or 5 people that I work with at my shoot job had come out to watch me. And it was their first live show. Like they've been watching on TV for years um, mostly just the Roman Reigns years, and they were
Right.
only familiar with WWE, but they came out to watch, and it was their first live show experience, and I had just done the match, and I'm talking with them. They're getting ready to leave because they saw me and I didn't have anything else, so they were gonna jet, and they're talking to me, and Jan comes up and starts talking to me, and he's like, "Do you know you remember who I am?" And I'm like, "I've been trying to avoid you all fucking night. Yes, I know who you
Yeah,
are."
yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, what's it been? 20 years?" And I'm like, "And it could be another 20 years as far as I'm
Please,
concerned."
yeah,
You
please let
know,
it be another 20 years.
and so then he finally like leaves after some awkward conversation, and then they're like, "You didn't like him very much, did you?" And I'm like, "Oh, you could tell better than him, I guess, on that one." And then
It's
I ended up
funny.
seeing him.
Yeah.
Then I ended up seeing him the very next week in Indianapolis, because like Trick and I had went to stop by the GCW show after
God.
Wrestle Arts, and he was in line as we showed up at
Yeah.
that, and I'm like, 2 weeks in a row, I
Uh,
can't do this. I can't do
yeah.
this. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that because I had a similar interaction with him at Black Label Pro, like a year before your about a year before the show that you wrestled for Mikey, or not
Okay.
wrestled, you managed. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll reference that there's not a Jim Fannin wrestling match on a Black Label Pro show, but the year before you managed, I went to one in Crown Point, and he approaches me, and he's like, "Do you remember who I am?" And I'm like you, I'm like, I don't want to remember who you are, but yes. And then he walks off after like trying to talk me into driving to St. Louis with him for a show. I'm like, dude, I'm a dad. I pay taxes. I
I pay
go to work.
taxes.
Like, I can't be doing this. Why are you doing this? You're like 60, dude. Because that's another thing. Jan was backyarding with us. I was 16 years old. We had like our friends, like we did like a backyard thing after IWA shows in Lafayette. I was 16. I was the correct age to be backyarding. Jan is almost my age I am now. I'm 38. And he was backyarding with teenagers. That's
So
and
he's
that
like the
silence.
he's like the dude on the Cobra Kai TV series
Yeah.
that
Yes.
you
Yeah.
you fight the Hauser or whatever.
Yeah. Paul Hauser's character. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
He's exactly that.
where he's 25 and he's
Yeah.
fighting
Yeah.
10-year-olds in the karate dojo.
Yeah. I remember I made him mad. So I wouldn't actually do wrestling matches because I didn't want to get hurt. I would do the Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie thing where I would make fun of everybody else's gimmicks. And I did Shotgun Tom. And it was I had a homemade G Unit shirt, and I put like gunshots. Do you remember that there's a song on the radio in the 90s called Steal My Sunshine where it's like a really young sounding girl, like, I know it's not for me.
I'm
Yeah,
semi
yeah,
familiar with the song.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I put gunshots into that song, and I'm like, okay, I'm Shotgun Tom. And then I went out of my way to have the worst match. And my thing is, I would wrestle. We had a hockey stick that I would wrestle, and we called it
Okay.
Homistick, and we tied a bandana on it like Homicide. And I would wrestle the hockey stick. Homistick, yes. But I did
Thank God you
Shotgun
never
Tom.
told that to like Quackenbush. I have a feeling that
No.
that would be like the main event of a Chikara show.
But I did that, and Jan would not talk to me for a year. And I'm like, I told you I was going to do this. Also, I'm a child, and you're a grown man who should not be rolling around in backyards with teenage boys. Um,
Ugh.
so, but
God
funny
bless.
enough, that Jan is how I met Manawa. Like, I knew of him for years, but I told the guys who were involved with this backyard group, like, listen, I will, like, because I was studying broadcasting in school, and like, I'll overlay graphics and I'll put on commentary. Just give me all the tapes. And instead, I took all of Jan's matches. And you remember those WWF Desire videos? Where
No.
like, okay, so they would do like these like dramatic highlight videos to like that Creed song, My Sacrifice.
Okay,
They
I
were
know
like,
that
okay,
song.
yeah, yeah. So like but like it would be like Jeff Hardy jumping off the ladder, and Austin middle fingers, and it'd be like slow mo and dramatic. I did one of those for Shotgun Yun's backyard wrestling, and I posted it on like 2006 YouTube, and I got so many like emails and comments from like IWA wrestlers. Like, we have been waiting so long to nail this fucker. And like that's how Manawa and I became friends because he saw that it was
Uh,
posted on CZW fans and we started talking that way. And then, years later we would be in each other's weddings, which
uh,
actually you and I were both in Manawa's wedding.
yes,
Yes, we
yes,
were.
yes, we
And I
were.
remember being scared to death of you because I knew IWA Mid South Jim Fannin,
Yes,
where you were always kind of in character, and also
24/7 lived it.
you were running a business with Ian Rotten, so that would be enough to make someone grumpy. I'm like, if I talk to him, he's gonna scream at me. So I'm just gonna mind my business over here. You ended up I think you brought like the Cubs lucha masks.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
It was a giveaway right
Yeah,
beforehand. It was like a
yeah,
giveaway, and so I went through the bleachers and was grabbing them
yeah.
as people like left if they went to go to like I would just grab it and put. I was like, nope, I need to Cub lucha mask up Manawa's wedding. So
Yeah,
I was like
which
going to everybody. Do you want that? Do you want it? You can take it. And I got just enough to where we all had the mat, and I already had like a different Cubs one that had like the Harry Carey glasses on it and everything.
oh, that's awesome.
So Manawa wore that one,
Yeah,
and then the rest of us that were the groomsmen, we all had the same Cub giveaway
yeah.
lucha mask that we put
Yeah,
on.
I yeah, I always thought that was awesome. But yeah, I was scared to death of you the whole weekend. Like I just because we got to dinner the night before, I think at like Gaddy. Was it Gaddy? It was some like Gaddy's type place. It was like a pizza place with like a
I think it was
arcade.
Gaddy's.
It was
Yeah,
Gaddy.
yeah,
I don't know.
Gaddy Land
Yeah,
arcade
but
or
I
something.
remember
Yeah.
sitting there and being like, should I say hello? Will he still be mad that I bootlegged IWA tapes 10 years before? You were I think we ended up talking a little bit and you were really nice and I'm like, thank God he's let some of it wash
Yeah.
off
Well,
from
I didn't have to live the gimmick anymore because I was
right.
at that point I was 4 years removed
Yeah.
from the shows, and that was actually I was going to bring that up on since we were both at that is actually the last time I've been face to face with Ian.
Yeah, that's right. Ian was there.
He was there,
Um,
but I did not say one word to him.
uh,
I did not say one word to him, and like during the reception, we'd all be like standing around in groups,
yeah.
and any time like I would be talking, Ian would come up and like saddle next to me, trying to get me to talk to him,
Oh
and I would
goodness.
like stop and walk away, and I'd just go talk to Patty,
Right.
and I'd be like, "You come over here and talk to me with Patty if you want
Yeah.
to, if you got
Yeah.
anything to say to me, get get you and your whore the hell out of here."
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah, I think
but
I ended up like side saddling with Bentley that whole night because like Bentley wasn't working for him yet. So Ian thought he was like above him or something. Like, Ian, I'm, IWA Mid South, all you Kentucky indie guys are blah blah blah.
right.
So I just kind of side saddled with Bentley the whole night. You talking about Patty reminded me, going back in time. Do you remember there was a show Summer of '04 in Lafayette where Eddie Kingston pissed off a guy so bad that he stayed after the show to fight him?
I don't remember this. I saw it in your notes, and I was like,
Yes.
I got to hear this story because
Okay.
I don't
So
remember this.
yeah, so some is July, I think. I think there's tapes called Tap Out City. I'm trying to do this so that Prophet Ash might be able to cue it up with this if he has it. I think it's called Tap Out City. Like a bunch of Wild Side guys were on it, which becomes important towards the end of the story. But like Eddie and Blackjack Marciano were both doing singles matches. I assume because there were only so many guys booked and Ian needed to fill out a card. But Eddie comes out for his match, and there's a guy in the crowd with a Cubs hat. And Eddie, like the black or the wild cards thing at the time was they would like knock people's baseball hats off. I had a friend that would wear a baseball hat, like specifically bring one to put it on so that Eddie would throw it across the room. It was just a bit they did. This guy This guy was a head case. So
This guy.
Eddie grabs this guy's Cubs hat. He didn't knock it across the room. He opens the front of his pleather white pants and sticks it down and rubs his junk on it. Keep in mind, we could all see Eddie was wearing a singlet and probably other things. It was not actually touching his balls. But then Eddie throws it
So
across the room.
if it's July,
Yeah.
Tap Out City, then
Yeah.
it's Eddie Kingston against Eddie Venom against Hillbilly Jed in a
Okay.
three-way
Yeah.
in the opener.
Yeah.
In the
Okay.
opener.
What was Blackjack later in the show?
Yes, he beat Trick Davis in a singles match.
So that's it. So yeah, Jeremy Prophet Ash, if you're trying to sync stuff up, it's the entrance of the Blackjack match because it was, I believe, after intermission. But Eddie does one of these numbers, throws it across the room, and you would have thought that Eddie pulled this guy's mom out and like right in the head, right? So he runs across the room like a clomping, like a horse, so that everybody can like see him making a big dramatic play. He grabs the hat and he's like, you better pay for that. This cost a lot of money. I'm like, dude, we're within 2 hours of Chicago. You could get that hat any Target for like 10 bucks, whatever, right? So he can't get Eddie's moved on. He's talking shit to somebody else while Blackjack's getting the heat on Trick. And this dude marches over to Patty and is like, you better take the money that this hat cost out of that guy's pay. Why the hell do you book a guy like that? And Patty just busts out laughing at him. He is a heel. Have you ever watched wrestling? That is what they do. And he's like, whatever, I'm going to get mine. And then, like, I forget, somebody on the show tipped us off that they had heard this guy wasn't leaving. So after the show gets out, we tried to stay inside, but Mickey kind of shoot us out. So it's me and my friend Isaac. I think Tom Perry was with us and somebody else. And then there were like these bushes out in front of the Lafayette Armory. And then there were like windows you could see in. We were hiding in the bushes, peeking over into the window. And like the crew, like Mickey and whoever was helping her, had like torn down almost everything. And there is one chair in the middle of the gym. And this guy's sitting here like this, like waiting for Eddie. And like, I think Mickey had a couple of times like politely went over and be like, hey, show's over, you gotta go. He's like, nope. It's like when my kids get mad and they throw a fit and they're like, you know, this is like a grown ass man.
Oh my God.
And so we're watching, waiting to see what happens. And my friend Isaac gets a tap on the shoulder. It's Tank. He's like, hey guys, what are you doing? We're like, we heard that guy's gonna get killed. He's like, sweet, can I watch? And so, because Tank was pissed because Jimmy Ray was taking forever to leave. And so Tank's big ass gets into a bush with us. And he's peeking over too. I'm like, dude, you could have gone inside. You worked on the show. He's like, no, this is fun.
This is better. This is better.
Yeah. So we're all peeking over the window, and you know, everything's torn down. I think like the speakers have been taken out. It's literally it's time to go home. And all of a sudden the locker room door gets kicked open, like literally like a cartoon. You could tell Eddie had been like letting it build. He had heard all these stories about like Bruiser Brody getting stabbed in Puerto Rico. He's like, I finally get to fight a fan. I'm so happy. He kicks open the door and he goes, who the fuck wants to fight me now? And this guy goes to stand up, and it's like Mickey picks him up like one of the boards on the ring under her arm and carries him out the front door. Saves his life. And as she kind of tosses him out, he's like, why the fuck do you book a guy like that? And Mickey goes, because he's a damn fine wrestler. She slams the door, and that's it. Like, hell yeah.
Oh my God, that is fantastic. And I just looked, there were 10 matches on that show. So there was no need for two singles matches with the Blackjacks and singles matches was not necessary.
No. And Eddie was in a three-way. Eddie was in a three-way match. That could have teamed any of those guys. It could have
just been the Blackjacks against, Jed but Eddie Venom was like Eddie Venom shouldn't have been on the show, but
Yeah, I remember him being kind of stinky. I remember Ian tried to make him and Nate Webb a thing for a bit because they both had spiders on their shirts. I'm
yeah.
like,
Well,
you
and
realize
then
you could just ask him to wear a different shirt, you know?
and then like he kept trying to do Eddie Venom against Brad.
Oh, because they're both like tall. Yeah.
Right, because they were both tall.
Yeah.
And after like the second or third time I had to watch that match, I had to go up to Ian and go, "Have you been watching any of this?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, why?" And I'm like, "He is making Brad look like a pile of shit." And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because he's too big for Brad to like do his stuff with,
Yeah.
and he can't do anything that's worth watching."
No. No.
It's like,
Like,
get him off the fucking shows. And then Ian's
yeah.
like, "Well, you're just mad because Mickey likes him more than she likes you." And I'm like, nobody
Oh
would be on
gosh.
the fucking show if that was the
Yeah.
standard we're gonna go by right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Mickey
Nobody
might
would
like
be
him
on,
better, but they would have a shitty match if they wrestled. So,
right. I was
you
like,
know.
I was like, I would be telling you to get everybody off the show if that's the standard I'm going for at this moment. But he's and then I think after that he like went to Brad and he's like, "Brad, what is your opinion of Eddie?" And I think Eddie Venom, and I think Brad was like, "Please never make me wrestle him again." And then so then we stopped using Eddie Venom. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ian, you got to watch some of this because you just keep throwing these guys out there, and it's like, no, 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 don't. I can't take seeing it one more time. It's
And
no."
that's also another thing about Ian I always thought was funny was he would book all these dudes and then you would find out later he didn't watch half the show. So he has no idea how
He
any
didn't
of them
watch any of
are.
it.
Yeah.
You know, all
So
like again, going back to like when he was tagging along with Axel, he'd let anybody on the show. If if whoever if whoever brought them was like, "Oh yeah, he's okay. All right, well, he can be on the show." You know, I hated going to the shows and not being booked. So yeah, he can do something. And it's like, no, you got at least watch if you
yeah.
do that. And then
Yeah.
like we've talked on here before, like he would just tell people, "Okay, see you next time," and then forget that he's so then you get to a building and there's 40 people and he's like, "Did I book you?" And they'd be like, "Well, you said see me next time. That's a booking, ain't it?" "Oh, well, shit. I guess I got to start writing this fucking stuff down." Yes, yes, you do. You need to
and
write this shit down.
and it's funny because like Manawa talked about it on here and he's talked about it with me before too privately, and I'm sure you too. Like Ian never got over that. He was still doing it until the end. Like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll see you at the next show, and just forget. And then you would end up with 42 guys on a show. And
And
like
then be
that
like,
Lafayette,
find somewhere to put this guy, you know?
yeah, and like that Lafayette show, I think was made. There's nobody there. Like I remember there being way more chairs than people. So like the fact that there were 10 matches, there might have been more wrestlers booked than paying fans.
It probably
Which,
was close because
yeah,
Lafayette never, I mean, is nice of a nice of a venue, nice of a town, out in the middle of nowhere though. And like you said, it
yeah.
took you 2 hours to find it when you were trying to find it.
Yeah, yeah, and like I knew Lafayette, I knew where things were. We didn't know there was a National Guard armory here until the first IWA show was announced. Uh, so you got to like go promote in the town. Like ran a couple shows here years later. TV commercials are not that expensive here. Like I
Well,
know
and
you said that,
I've talked
yeah,
about
yeah,
that on here.
Ian, yeah, it's Ian. But
We didn't have that option because he
yeah,
threatened to kill the guy.
yeah,
When
uh,
but yeah, it floored me as to how cheap the commercial spots were
yeah.
to buy a spot. I was like,
Yeah.
you're kidding me, you know? Couldn't
And like to be
believe
able to
that that's
put
all
it
it was.
and be able to put it specifically during Monday Night Raw and still
Right,
only pay like $1 or two more. It's like, why isn't everyone doing this?
right.
Well, it turns out that sometimes everyone threatened to kill
Yes,
the
everybody must have threatened to kill, when they didn't air it. I don't know, but
like it's
that's
but
that's how it is, you know. And
but yeah, Lafayette never. I think the biggest like there was one show Ian decided to bring like a Highland level lineup. It was like it's called One More Time. I think it was a bunch of rematches, and that did like 100 people, 90. It was like Punk and Hero, Samoa Joe Homicide, uh, the Alex Shelley Jimmy Jacobs thing ended, and then like a bunch of like name guys, and it got up to like 90 or 100. But that's
Right. And,
like
and
that strong.
even the sports bra show, that was the strong style tournament.
Yeah, that was a
Had
great lineup.
great lineup. And then all of us that weren't even like in the tournament, in the semi main thrown together, and part of the quad shot going on, so it was loaded and had everybody, and there was no crowd, no,
Yeah,
no crowd at all.
yeah. Like my friends and I were like the entire one side of the building, and there weren't that many more people there than that. Like Super Dragon is a fly-in from California. Those are expensive, but Ian's like, oh well, we need 4 tapes. So yeah, and then like I remember, yeah, like some of those Lafayette shows were rough attendance wise. I remember I went to a Rensselaer show around the time Highland ended. That Ian was not there. Like he had a family member die, so he was not there. Patty ran it. It was my friends and then 2 other people were the only fans in the crowd. It was like when you go to like a 10 o'clock movie and
Yeah.
you're the only person sitting there and they have to run the projector just for you. That's how it felt. Like watching, Jimmy Jacobs and Brandon Tomaselli do a 25-minute respect match. That they are going so hard. And it's like, you guys don't have to like really be going at it. But they're like, oh, it's gonna be on Smart Rock Video.
Right.
Um I remember,
Somebody's
yeah,
going to see this.
yeah. That show though I remember the most because it was right after Candido passed, and there was a St. Louis guy named Ryan Ash who drove in with Seidel and Delirious, or drove in. There was somebody from that crew was on the show, and he drove in with them, and because Ian wasn't there, he's like, "Oh, I can fuck off," even though he had never worked there before, and he goes and he does all of the Candido spots right after Chris passes. And I remember, like, motherfucker, like it's like it felt like a funeral in there. Like, why the fuck are you doing Chris's spots? It's like he thought he could get away with it. I'm like, whatever. But hey, he never came back, so
Well,
it is what it is.
Was
It is
I
what
at this show?
you had to. I don't know because again, Patty ran the show. I remember that specifically. I forget who the ring announcer was, but they specifically mentioned, "Hey, Ian's not here. Patty's doing a great job running the locker room. Blah 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 blah." I
Because I
forget
think
if
if
you
I
were
was
there.
there, I'd have been the one.
Yeah, you. Yeah, that's why I think maybe you weren't there. But it's like it's a show in Rensselaer, and nobody came out for it.
Because I
It was
don't
a
remember.
Yeah, he wore like a American flag singlet. I remember. We thought, oh, he's gonna do like a Kurt Angle thing, and then he, within a minute, it's not even like the Candido spots were completely out of context too. Like opening lockup, pulls the pants down, sticks the towel up the ass. I'm like, so you go to the punchline, and the joke is like not even existent. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I
And it's
couldn't.
like
I can't
fresh.
imagine that I was there for that because I probably would have killed the
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
if I was there.
yeah. It was
So
just it just
I
felt
can't
really
imagine that I was
gross.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just remember he never came back. And when we were leaving, like a bunch of the guys in the locker room were like, this motherfucker. So, um, yeah, that's the only time I went to Rensselaer, though, even though it's like not that far from Lafayette. And that's another thing is I feel like Ian would book towns too close to each other, too. Again, because he would just get a phone number. Be
Right. He
like,
would just get a phone
hey,
number,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
doesn't know the geography of Indiana to
yeah,
know that
yeah,
Rensselaer is like 20 miles from,
yeah, yeah.
well, 40 miles from the Lafayette.
Yeah, or like I remember when IWA ran Vincennes, and like a couple of years after that, I went to college in Vincennes, and I'm like, oh, I need to find the building Ian ran because it's like there are a lot of people on campus. It was a Lafayette situation. The Armory was nowhere near the college.
Right.
It's like I asked the
Well, and I
locals,
mean, I
and
guess
they're
that sort of makes sense. The armory, you don't want the armory
yeah,
and military
yeah,
training to be right in
right, yeah,
the hub of
right,
people. You got to be
yeah,
off the beaten path a little ways,
right.
but
But
how off the beaten path that some of
right,
these would be is just the amazing part, you know?
yeah, like but if I'm thinking, okay, if Ian was thinking when he was putting these together, it's like you would want, yeah, it's easy to just call up and book an armory, but wouldn't you want a building closer to like the college campus? One that people might know. Maybe go to the town and look around.
Yeah.
Nah, that's easy. That's too hard. That's too hard. I need to just sit and make phone calls and yeah,
Well,
got a
the
whole
people will
schedule.
just magically show up, and as long
Yeah,
as it's a show that gets a DVD out there that
yep,
gets some smart mark money in, and
exactly.
that was all that it was about at that point.
Like how many times did you hear, "Oh, I'll pay so and so. I just gotta make. I just gotta wait for Mike Burns to send me a check or send me a PayPal." You know,
Yep.
even like watching the shows, you would hear that so much. Like, hey, B Boy couldn't make it. I Mike Burns didn't send me a check yet, so sorry. You
Right.
know,
Or
yeah,
poor B boy, we got him here on a one-way ticket. Now we got to wait
yeah,
for this show to sell so we can get him a one-way ticket to get back home. So he's going to be living on my couch for the next 2 weeks. Buy the
yeah.
tape, buy the tape in a hurry so we can get him back home. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And
Like the fact that people put up with that too. It's
yeah,
like that's like a hostage situation, like
right.
uh and I don't know, man. Some of the but the thing I've always thought about Ian though is he's charming one-on-one. Like if he wants something from you, he can he can charm you until you figure out his bullshit, you know? Like
Yep.
I remember going like especially during the Highland run when he knew he was going to have a house, he would like sit out front at the ticket table before the show and like just talk to people. And it's like, oh, why do people hate this guy so much? He's so nice.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's like everybody learns. Everybody has that cycle where they go from, oh, this guy's so nice. Why do people shit on him? And then eventually you find out, you know.
Yep.
I remember he used to lie to us a lot at those. Imagine that Ian lying. Uh, but it was around the time ROH brought in Liger. He got real jealous and was like, "Yeah, we're bringing in Liger for Simply the Best. I just got to talk to Japan." Like, who in Japan? I'm thinking, but he's just like, "I'm just gonna call Japan and get him in. He's gonna work Quackenbush." Of course, that didn't happen. Uh, Also, one time he promised super crazy, but he had to call Puerto Rico. You always say he's calling these countries, which
Yeah.
is funny. But
Well, is that like you look it up in the phone book?
yeah, yeah,
I need the number for Japan.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
who? It's like South Park. They killed Kenny. Well, who's
yeah.
they?
They,
Well, they.
yeah.
They.
And then when he
I gotta
doesn't show
call.
up, you scream out, "You bastards!"
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how it didn't work. Um. So we'll move on to TPI '06 after the Highland days. We've talked a little bit on the podcast before about this one, but want to get like your experience from the '06 TPI as opposed to mine with having to like speed down to
Uh,
Indianapolis to pick up a stranded Bull and Mitch and get them back 10 minutes before the angle with Jimmy Jacobs transpires. So what was your memories of that weekend?
I feel like it's the closest IWA came to touching 2004 TPI. Like '05, it was good, but it could have probably. I feel like '05 it was like the letdown after '04. Like Ian still like brought in a ton of great talent, but it was not the TPI. It was, instead of getting AJ and Danielson and Joe, it's like he had to book more locals. He had to book, Merrick and Tyler 6 weeks or 6 months into their career. '06, it kind of felt like we were getting back to that point. Um, I just I didn't go to Midlow that much. I went a few times. I remember it's a blowaway show. This is I think it's the beginning of the Loki experiment where Ian and Loki somehow seem to like negate each other's weird bad vibes and somehow have a productive run. I've never gotten that. Like Ian got low key to job to Chuck Taylor. I've never understood like everybody else. He's like, even if that guy hits me with a chainsaw, he can't win. Whereas Ian's like, well, if he just puts ether on your mouth, will you pass out? Yeah, of course. Anyway, but I remember Loki had a really good weekend that weekend. I remember Generico came in, he crushed it with Chris Bosch from California. Uh, Eric Stevens he got to base an entire indie career based on that one weekend because he did the choo choo thing against Trick, and then that became his catchphrase in Ring of Honor. Again, ROH doesn't take anything from IWA, sure. Like I was just watching on the Ring of Honor YouTube channel, they put up like a compilation from their old TV show back in the day, and Eric Stevens is doing the choo choo in his promo, and I'm like, dude, if it wasn't for that weekend, you wouldn't have figured that out. Trick was Trick in it in that one against Hero, or was that?
Um, it could have been like because
Yeah,
I missed so much of it
yeah.
by
You
having to
weren't
do
there.
by
Yeah,
having to go do the drive. I
right.
to go get those guys. Like
I
I
remember low key knocked out Cannon that year in the finals, and Cannon's like all loopy when he wins. Like, but it also felt also kind of a year late for Cannon to win. Like, like '05 would have been great for him after the Hero feud ended.
right,
But I'm again, this is booking from 21 years ago that I'm nitpicking.
right.
There's the real goofy tag match
Yeah,
with the tag.
hero trick was night two, so I missed
Okay.
that.
Yeah, no, I remember that being really good. Um, yeah,
Claudio
there's like a
Quack was probably
Claudio Quack. Yeah, that Claudio kind of. I'm not saying he has a breakout moment because he was already like doing Ring of Honor and stuff, but it kind of they did stuff in that match I had never seen, and I was a tape nerd watching everything. Like there's stuff in that match I know is still being stolen on TV directly from it. Like there's a monkey flip in that match where Quack like bases off of Claudio's stomach and then leans back on the ropes and then comes back up and does the monkey flip. I see people steal that all the time. And Quack could only do that against Claudio because Claudio is a human horse. Um,
right.
so strong. I
And
remember there
freaking
was a
Davey Richards actually showed up.
yeah, he was on. That was the beginning of the Davey Richards indie run, where like he was actually like showing up to bookings. This is before he became Davey, the superstar. He was still
Okay.
trying to earn his way. So yeah, he would show up to bookings. And he was also a plane ticket, whereas when he started no showing, he lived in St. Louis. So imagine that. um he was in like Washington or California or something.
But yeah, like low key was, you talk about the low key experience. Guys took bets that first show that he came in. When I went to pick him up at the airport, guys were taking bets as to whether we would kill each other before we got back to the building. But me and low key got along great.
Awesome.
And Ian always said, well, of course, two assholes are going to get along. And I'm like, no, a lot of two assholes will not get along. But for whatever reason, like, I was fine with like, we had no problem, like, never even had a tense word with each other on all the trips that he came in and stuff. And the guys, rightfully so, the guys thought that there was a good probability that it could end up in a damn fist fight in the middle of the damn interstate. But nothing, I mean, we ended up getting along just fine. And I tried to get him into the family, and Ian kept going, who the fuck's going to beat you guys? And I'm like,
Right.
exactly. That's why I
Yeah.
want him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Instead of me jobbing every fucking show, it would be nice to get some wins.
yeah. No, but I remember that the low key run felt like when like a monster would come into a territory back in the day and beat everybody for 6 months, do his one job, and then leave. Like he beat Chuck Taylor and then he never came back. Or he lost to Chuck Taylor and then he never came back, but he beat everybody else. And Ian built him up as this, he's a killer. He would kill everybody.
Right.
That's probably why he did the one job. But Yeah, Loki's IWA run is something I feel gets slept on a lot because again, it's after Highland, so it doesn't get as much attention. But it's like
Right.
he actually is like good booking of a star. You know, he comes in, he beats everybody, but then at the end, he loses to the one homegrown guy that's being made. You know,
Right.
and again, it's the ether, but it's Chuck Taylor. He's a heel that does those things. So it's practically a clean win. So
Yeah. I
uh,
mean, in the record
but
book,
it's
a win is a win is a win, you know?
exactly, and especially since Loki wouldn't do jobs to like the ROH World Champion. You know, he had that reputation. So for him to be like, yeah, I'll put over Chuck Taylor, sure. That's I mean, when I read the result the night that happened, I thought it was wrong. I thought whoever wrote called into the message board was like, no, that's a typo. It has to be. He won the
Has to
belt.
be.
No,
Was it some
no.
dude dressed up as Loki that went?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Ian got like
What was this Barry Windham as Sting?
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was amazing Ian got Loki to do a job. To this day, I don't know how, but hey, it's like I said, it's like two negative like magnets attaching to each other.
Yeah.
What else from TPI? I remember I wore a stupid hat that weekend, and all the wrestlers made fun of me, which they should have. I was a stupid teenager.
Okay.
Um, but
The
the whole
hotel was an experience.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yes. Thank you. I was like, what else show wise? And then yeah, the hotel is more the story than anything. Harvey, Illinois. The show was in Midlothian at the Midlow Dome, where
Yes.
Ian had to hold on for a couple years, and then every indie in Chicago ran there and just ran it into the ground. But the Harvey Hooker hangout, the Triple H. Um,
the real Triple H.
Yeah, the real Triple H. Though you'll end up with a bad experience like the other guy. So this place, you walk in and like immediately it's like, oh, this is we're not gonna have a good time here. I remember we checked in and the lady at the front counter does not make eye contact the entire time. We like give her the credit card and then she just like throws the key at us. I'm like, oh, awesome. One of these things. We get in the elevator. There's a blood stain in it that's shaped like this. Like somebody had been murdered inside the elevator.
A good chance that they were.
Yeah. Um, like I feel like all the walls and the carpet were like this like color between yellow and brown that like even if it was clean, it was gonna look dirty anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, then
And
go to
there was like this so much humidity that everything was like
oh yeah.
sticky, or at least you
Yep.
hoped it was the humidity that was
You
causing
hoped it was
everything
the
to be.
humidity because yeah, the air didn't really work that well.
Yeah.
And it was like middle September, so it was still pretty hot outside. Um, and then it's been talked about here before you go to the room. And first off, something that doesn't get talked about is the cable was being stolen from a house down the street because there was one channel. It was not the one that you're thinking of that we'll get to in a second. There was another channel. It's like channel 6 or 7. It was just the feed of whoever was flipping the TV down the road. I remember turning.
I never made it past channel 3, so
Yeah, channel 3 is
I
the
didn't know that there
infamous
was a
one.
channel 6 that was,
Yeah,
what some dude was watching up the street. So I had no
yeah,
idea
because
that was going
I
on.
remember staying in after the first night, and it was like I'm just gonna like watch the Tonight Show and go to bed or whatever, because that's all. Like it was everything was fuzzy, but like I turn on what I thought was NBC, and then a minute later it starts flipping on its own. And then I look and there's like a wire going across the top of the building to a house down the street with a direct TV dish. Like, oh, that's what's going on. But no, channel 3. Channel 3.
Channel
It's
3.
it's like the hotel somehow figured out how to make their own TV feed. Because this is not a channel that actually existed outside of this hotel. It was somebody there running their own personal 70s and 80s porno collection. Like films that would not be like on pay-per-view. Like Mandingos in Space. Like I saw a clip of some like one of them was like a very large man shooting lasers out of his erection at a woman who had come down from space into his village, and he was now going to fornicate with her. Um, but I remember that the day we were checking out, we were across the street from Joey Eastman and whoever was staying with him. And Joey decided to turn up channel 3 as loud as possible, hide the remote, and then lock the door
Oh God.
so that I hope they had room service had to watch.
Uh,
And then after this experience, Ian ran a show there the next month.
yes. But
Like,
they were great to it. They gave us a great price.
yeah, yeah,
There was times where like, because like especially that like the TPI where I had to like make 18 airport runs, like I would like come back and Ian would never get the tickets to where like everybody's like five people at one time kind of
yeah.
thing. It's like you come back, get one, go, come back, get one, go in. But every once in a while there would be like, okay, well, it took one, now there's like a 3 hour gap. And like the person working the desk would just give me a room key, like, oh, this room's empty, go crash while you wait the 2 3 hours. It wouldn't charge me, so then I could just like go crash in the room and get like an hour of sleep before I had to go make another airport run. So I had nothing against the place,
Yeah.
they were nice to me, so I was
Yeah,
fine with it.
I remember hearing that like you guys got a good deal on it. Like there was the IWA discount that I think somebody said Ian might have gotten a kickback on it at some point. I don't know. But like
Anything's
yeah,
possible.
anything's spot. But yeah, the next month after all the IWA fans stayed there and reported back that there were bloodstains and pornography and there was a strip
Ian's
club
like,
next
this
door.
is that's as IWA
This
as it
is
gets.
yes, this is
This
the
is the Mecca.
yeah.
This is me.
Yeah. So the next there's like a conference room or a ballroom or something.
Yes.
And it's I wouldn't call it a ballroom. It's a room.
It's
I
a
wouldn't
yeah,
hold a ball there.
it was an event room,
Yeah. I remember the lighting on the Smartwork videotape
probably
being horrible.
any time that the AVN awards weren't in Vegas,
Yes.
it was probably in
In
like
Harvey.
this
Yeah.
in the at this
Yeah.
Harvey, Illinois, because there was the
Yeah.
strip club that shared the parking lot.
Yeah. I remember all the boys went over to the strip club after the Harvey show. The Harvey, Illinois hotel conference room or whatever was the home of the first ever Chris Hero low key match that people have been begging for years online. And we're gonna get it. It's gonna be in this dark ass room where literally, I'm not kidding you. We came out for intermission and there were sex workers in the lobby waiting, like, come and get it, boys.
They
Do
were waiting for
business.
Shotgun Jan.
Oh, he disappeared. He didn't come back for the second half of the show.
I bet. I
Yeah,
bet.
no, he was gone.
Uh,
Yeah, no, because he was sitting near us, and then like two matches into the second half, we noticed, oh, he's not back. Oh, he's not back. Okay.
oh,
Oh,
oh.
and like I think Mitch Ryder and Mark Wolf was on that show, and like he brawled through the lobby to get to the ring. Like they did like a jump start, and I remember they like brawled, like almost knocked over a prostitute doing it. I'm like, IWA. Um,
Oh, gotta love it.
yeah, and that was the show where the Thomas Sully's beat the fuck out of Kevin Harvey, which has that story been told on air? I
No, I
forget.
don't even know
Yeah.
that story, I don't think.
Yeah, like he was like managing it was like a four-way tag and he was being Kevin Harvey and he got on their nerves and they like took advantage of the fact that he could not fight back and like I think ripped his suit up and like kicked him out the door. Like it's kind of messed
Uh,
up. Yeah.
Darren Corbin and Ryan Cruz.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
He was
Ian put
managing
him
them.
yeah,
And then there
and
was Well, it was Chris Hybrid, Jeff Brooks, Rex Sterling, and Shima Zion defeat the
Yeah.
Iron Saints
It
and
was an
the
eight
North
man
and the
tag.
North and the North
Yeah.
Star Express.
Yeah. So
So,
I think it was an 8 man, and like they were supposed to like rough them up a bit, and they went way further with it when they were supposed to.
but I mean,
Because
Kevin
Kevin
Harvey was
Harvey,
on their side.
yeah. But I think it was supposed to lead to the Iron Saints and the North Stars feuding,
Okay.
but like they beat the fuck out of Kevin Harvey
Yeah, I
because
don't remember
he
that at all.
see, unlike you who kind of just you pop in for your spots, you make noise when things kind of come down. The whole match he's outside the ring like hot dogging when they're running these complicated high spots and trying to take
Yeah.
attention from them. And
Yeah,
yeah,
don't take attention away from the
yeah.
high. Yeah.
So
You're there
but
you're there to fill in the downtimes.
yeah, and I remember the team that wrestled them. Manawa told me like only two of them were from the same carload, but they somehow all had matching tights. And so Ian's like, okay, we got to do an 8 man
Got
because
to.
this is
Got to.
working. Then Ian wrestled Larry Sweeney on that show too, and they did a strut off. And I have to think Ian just like I just want to wrestle Larry Sweeney, so I'm gonna book this. Um, but yeah, that Harvey show was wild. Again, Loki and Chris Hero wrestling a 20. I think it was a draw they
Okay,
did.
so yeah, that
But
was the 10th anniversary show, so that's why
yeah,
like
yeah,
March. That's why like
yeah,
Mark and Mitch and stuff are there. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but like Hero and Loki did like a draw. They did like some long match and like minutes from this like first time classic match, like in the next room are like IWA fans being serviced by prostitutes. So
Yeah, 30-minute
um
time limit draw.
yeah. And then
Shotgun
the
Yan
next
probably did not go that long.
no, Pete, unlike the 90-minute match, which I feel like you guys created a monster because you mentioned Jan on commentary during Punk and Hero. But unlike that match, he did not stay for the 30-minute Loki Hero match because
Okay.
he was having fun. I remember I had a friend call me from the strip club that night, and he's like, "Listen to how much fun we're having." And I hear Eddie Kingston in the background going, "Yo, they got titties here!" Like,
Well, what do
I
you expect them to have at the strip
yeah, I
club?
don't know. Listen, as long as they're all 18 or over, as we established at the beginning, I think
Oh,
we're good.
oh my
Um,
God.
but yeah, that I stopped going to IWA a little bit after that. Not because of the grossness of the hotel, though. I forgot to mention. Did you? Mr. T's sister owned a barber shop like right down the road, but they called it like Mr. T's hair salon because we really badly wanted to go in there and just take pictures of it, but we had to get
I
the
did not know that that was there. No.
yeah, yeah, no. Mr. T's like from Harvey.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Well, I
so
knew he had like I knew he was like from the Chicago land, but I didn't know he was
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah. So that would have been cool if Ian would have brought in Mr. T and then not paid him to wave and say hi.
Right.
Yeah. I remember the next night in Midlow, Dr. Death Steve Williams was randomly on the show. He
Yes.
uh he wrestled Larry Sweeney.
Yes.
And it's like he was battling the throat cancer, so he couldn't do
Right.
much. But then at the end, he does look this perfect backdrop driver and puts Sweeney right on his dome. It's like
Yep.
awesome. And then Ted DiBiase Jr. randomly wrestled for Ian on that. I think he drove in with Harley Race because Harley Race was there signing autographs. I
Okay.
think it might
Yeah.
have been a deal through WLW, but yeah, soon after that, I moved to Vincennes for college, and it felt like most IWA shows were in the Chicagoland region
Yeah.
because
Yeah. At that
I,
point, it was. Yeah.
yeah,
It was starting to head
because
that way.
that's where the riverboats were.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if you can't sell tickets, at least win at the blackjack table.
No.
Uh,
No.
I mean, he wouldn't, but
Try.
try,
Try.
but no. Like I never got to Joliet. Never. There was one show in Indianapolis I went to in 2009, I believe. It was a random one-off show Ian ran at like I think this is like the very butt end of your run with the where it's another like 10 match show, I think. But it's a one-off building. It's in the back of a gym. It's like like a gymnastics like training facility, and in the very back they shoved like a ring and like 100 chairs. Like you had to like walk. It was like a maze getting to where the wrestling was,
Huh.
and then like they did a decent crowd, and but nobody wanted. It felt like nobody wanted to be there. Like the fans. Like remember there was like a four-way tag, and Jason Hades, who was a guy that kind of came along through like the mid-low run, and uh he was trying to get like a slow clap going. And this is how I know Manowar was there. Because normally if Manowal's at a show and someone tries to do the slow clap, under the table, under the desk, Nick's hands are doing this. So the crowd goes along with it. He's the expert of it.
Right.
But nobody goes along with it. And I think it was like Bryce Remsburg and maybe Chuck Taylor on commentary are openly laughing at how horrible this crowd is.
Yeah. So it looks like
Awesome.
Up in Smoke, Devin Moore and Jason Strife, Fire
Yeah.
Ant and Ricochet, and Jason Hades and Troy Walters.
Yes, yeah. So that's it was definitely that match. Oh, and I completely skipped all the Plainfield shows, but I mean we're already well over 2 hours into this,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
don't want to go on a whole
I don't.
Plainfield rant. But
Is Plainfield? I don't think they're worth.
Ian booked American Dragon versus Jigsaw there once. I thought that was weird. It was like the new deathmatch building, but he got one date on Bryan Danielson, and the crowd didn't give a shit. I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's for another time. We don't need to eulogize Plainfield. No offense, Jeremy, who I know was at all the Plainfield shows.
Right.
But
Right. That was. But he probably was at that Sports Zone show.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was. And I
I don't
hope he
think I was
remembers.
though. I am. I
You
don't. I
you
have
might
no.
not have been.
I
Like,
have
because
no
it
memory of that lineup at all.
yeah, it was like
No memory.
I think maybe there was like a title tournament in Joliet the night after. That's why Ian brought in all like the Chikara guys. Like because like Brody Lee and Up in Smoke and Fire Ant all drove up together, and they were doing Chikara at the time, and Chikara
Yeah,
had just
it was
started
the night
blowing up.
before April Blood Showers
Yeah. Okay.
08.
We're Jimmy and BJ and the No Rope Bar Player.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like there was a big show attached to it. It's just the night before Ian also wanted a DVD, and well, this
Yeah.
building had a free room, so why not?
Yeah. It's another
So
DVD to sell,
yep.
maybe,
But I
or
yeah.
or for
But
you to bootleg.
yeah, for me, I wasn't bootlegging anymore. I was
Okay.
I finally got a girl to start making out with me, so that was fun.
Whoa, whoa, there you
Watching,
go.
yeah, yeah, I know, right? It's a miracle. And then I know I put at the end of the doc. A few years later, I actually worked for Ian once. He doesn't probably remember or know. He probably doesn't even know that I worked for him, because
uh,
he's not the one that booked me. Michael Z did. Um,
uh,
I had a couple friends that got booked on a show in Bellevue or IWA Midwest when Ian had to pretend that Vince Jones was running the show. Of course he wasn't, but anyway. But I went
oh, is
because
that when Scar and Home Depot
yep,
Mike and
yeah,
Vince Jones like bought the company
yeah, bought the
and
company, yeah.
bought the company
Um, but
and
yeah, Ian
then
somehow was giving directions to everybody and
yeah.
was handing out the envelopes at the end of the night. I just I but I was like helping set up chairs because I feel guilty if I'm at a show and I'm not doing something. And Mike Z walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, I don't want to do everything tonight. Will you do something for me?" I'm like, "I guess because I love you." And he's like, "Here, just play music and yeah, just press play when guys come out. That's it." I'm like, "Cool." So technically, I worked for Ian once. Um,
Okay.
yeah. I remember Masada got real mad because his phone got unplugged behind my chair. And then at the end of the night, the guys I rode with, they worked in like a three-way in the opener. And Ian pulls them aside as we're trying to leave. He's like, "Listen, guys, I've got $1 left after I paid everybody else. I could give this to one of you. But then on the way home, the other one would get real mad. Like, not like angry, but like a little bit of tension. And then years later, you guys are going to have heat because one of you accepted this dollar over the other. I don't want to cause that. So I'll let you guys choose what you want to do. If one of you wants to take the dollar, that's great. Or I could try to pay you next time. And
Oh
they
my
just wanted the
God.
story of Ian ripping them off. So they chose to not take the dollar.
Don't take the dollar.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God.
I'm like,
What a story.
yeah. So I feel like that's a good ending point for
Yeah,
uh
that's a great ending point on it. And that is just amazing that
like
years
Ian
from now
invents
you're gonna
new
be pissed at
grips.
each other over this
Yeah.
$1. You really want me to keep this $1?
Yeah. Like literally just pulled out a $1 bill. And it looked
Uh,
crisp too, almost like he got it from a casino.
yeah.
Anyway,
Oh
so
my God. Fantastic. Yeah,
this has been a blast.
it has been a lot of fun. Some
Uh
great stories that I hadn't heard, so that was fantastic. And that is the perfect ending spot. Um, but I'm going to let you hype your stuff for the Fannin's Flashbacks listeners and viewers that are not familiar with you, because some of the people listening to me just want the Kmart building stories and stuff like that. So how can they watch all the great stuff that you put out on YouTube and Twitch and everything else that you're doing?
Well, again, thank you so much for giving me the time. It's been a blast. It's genuinely been an honor. And I'm glad that I'm no longer scared to death of you, that we were able to sit down for 2.5 hours. Um,
Right?
I'm on all the platforms, not that Tom Green. I have it pretty consistent everywhere, uh, because otherwise Nick would yell at me.
Yes.
He's a big
Yes.
stickler for
He's
that.
a
Yeah,
very big on having the same name. So
yeah, yeah.
I tried my best to get everything synced up, but
Yeah, it
uh,
sometimes it just doesn't work out, especially when you're getting in the game late. It's I feel
right.
so bad
Yeah.
for like if like my son wants to wrestle someday, I'm like, dude, you're not gonna be able to get your same handle for anything when you get a gimmick name. But I do deep cuts, I call them. They're like the short form vertical videos where I tell weird brief stories from wrestling history. I did mostly WCW. I'm starting to branch out more into like uh ECW and Ring of Honor, because guess what? Weird stuff happened there too, despite what they want you to think. Every
Right.
Monday and Wednesday. And then Fridays, I do a series called Why They Rule, where I tell you why a wrestler from wrestling history rules in 60 seconds or less. It's a lot of fun. It's on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch. Not, no, it's not that serious. It's not on Twitch, but everywhere else you get video, it is. Now, the live streams every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on Twitch. I do WCW Deep Cuts Live, where I bootleg 2 old episodes of WCW TV back to my origins from the 90s. And it's a whole watch along. People join in the chat. We watch along. We have fun goofing on the PN newses and the
Yo
Van
baby,
Hammers of the
yo
world.
baby, yo
Oh my
baby,
gosh.
yo.
There was one a couple of weeks ago. We watched 3 episodes of WCW Pro from that era. He had 4 matches on 3 episodes of that TV. Like, you
Wow.
guys are trying very hard to get this guy over, and it's just not working.
Yeah.
And then Sundays at 8 on YouTube and Twitch, I do a series called Off the Grid, where we do similar watch alongs, but for wrestling that can pass copyright tests. It's some very strange stuff we've watched. And I'm putting out the bounty now because I've been told this stuff is completely missing. There was IWA TV in like 1999 with Kenny Bolin and Les Thatcher on commentary. I've told this
90, that would be
90,
98,
98. Yeah, I've been
98.
told this
Yeah.
stuff does not exist anymore.
Maybe
If
97, like
Yeah,
late 97, early 98.
yeah. So I've been searching because I would love to watch it for Off the Grid because it sounds
I
so weird.
think Jeremy found one episode.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So
I
I'll have to
think
get with them about it.
Jeremy just the other day sent me a message and said, "Holy shit, I think I just found one
Oh,
episode of TV that was randomly at the end of a disc for like a show, and then there was like 50 minutes of what looked like, because it had like commercials and stuff
yeah,
in it. So he's like, I think I randomly just came across one episode of
amazing,
IWA TV.
amazing. So yeah, that's the bounty I want to put out. If much of that as we can find as possible. I don't know how long it ran, but we watched weird stuff like that. like a lot of public access wrestling from like the 80s. There was so much public access wrestling in the 80s, like you wouldn't believe.
Have you done Skull
Uh,
Talk?
but not yet, no. But I also kind of think that there were like boobies and stuff on Skull
Oh,
Talk,
there
and I would
was
get,
a lot of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't put that on YouTube. So
Yeah.
YouTube's very anti-booby. Um,
Yeah.
but a
Somebody
lot
needs to
of
send them to the place in Harvey and change their tune.
yeah, yeah, no, like
Get on that YouTube.
I'm
Get to
I'm
Harvey right
surprised.
now.
I'm surprised Pondo never did Skull Talk live from the Harvey Hotel. It seems like a great on location for him with
Yeah,
some of
well,
those ladies.
was he really around at that
He
point?
was he wasn't, but I feel like it's more like, oh, it's just the vibe of Skull
Right.
Talk would be
Right. Yeah,
could be there.
it should have been an episode. He could have been in the other room doing Skull
Yeah,
Talk with Shotgun Yan,
yeah, like
you know, while the
that would have
anniversary
changed
show was going
everything.
on.
But yeah, so I've got the streams Tuesdays and Sundays. I've got the short forms. My YouTube channel also has long form videos like the TPIO4 video. I do a lot of WCW stuff because people seem to put me in that box. So I'm happy to stay in that box and give them things, but I do occasionally pop out with stuff like the TPIO4 video. And then I also sell shirts because everybody else does too. I have to. It only took me 3.5 years into being a YouTube boy to start selling shirts. Um, so it's NotThatTomGreen.threadless.com. You can go to get my
Ooh,
shirts.
threadless. Oh.
Threadless, yes. There's like no other wrestling person on there. It's just me. So that's why I picked it because I feel like Pro Wrestling Tees is too crowded, and all the other print on demand shops I found were horrible quality. So but yeah, so that's about it. Again, appreciate being on here, and if my word means anything to any promoters that might be watching, gotta book Jim. Like Jim and Connor especially. Uh, Connor's gonna be the next thing, and Jim and Connor are really really good to go. And just do it. Don't like I know of at least one promoter in Central Indiana who is probably watching this, who is not booking Jim already, who's going to see this. And I'm telling you, Jim's only a couple hours from here, and Connor's only a couple hours from here. Just get them here. You won't regret it. And if even without Connor, you've got so many other members of the family.
Yeah,
The
we're
rejects are
spread
great.
out, you know.
Yeah, the rejects are great. John Wayne Murdoch's like one of the best independent wrestlers in the country, regardless of
And
his style.
I never when I came back, I had, you know, Connor almost immediately. You know, of course, Mickey was the fulfillment of the 21-year
Yeah,
angle. I wanted the rejects from day one, and then like Trick was such a pleasant surprise to fall into, and really enjoying having Trick Davis in the team, and like him and Connor are working well together, and part of that Wrestle Arts angle, and you know we're trying to get you know out into more places, and it's slow. It's
yep,
slow, and coming from my background of the shows every week with IWA, multiple shows every week, and then you know maybe one show in a month, and you're like, man, I'm not gaining any traction. I'm not, people must not want this. But then I look in, you know, bona fide stars are posting, okay, well, here's my 8 weekends that I've
yeah,
got open coming. And it's like, wow, okay, well, if
yeah.
they're open, then I guess I don't have to be, embarrassed that nobody's booking me either.
No,
So it's
no, it's an independent wrestling thing in general right now. Just nobody. If there are groups running consistently, they're using the same 10, 15 people. So I
right.
would not. Yeah, I definitely would not take it as a sign as of anything more than
And then you get
this is
into a
how.
place and they run once every 2 months,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So, yeah, I don't think there's anybody within a few hours of you running every week right now. Like that kind of went away with COVID. COVID
Right.
kind of ended the weekly promotion. So,
Yeah.
it'll pick up. People are going to see because the promos you're doing are great. And I just, People
I
aren't
tell you,
booking managers
the
enough.
people are really. I'm surprised. The last 2 days, as we tape this, the last 2 days, I've posted some photos that have three letters involved in them,
Yes, I saw that. I
and
was worried about one set of initials at the top.
and the like normally if I post a picture on it, like the reels have been getting some good plays and views, but if I post just a picture, like it'll go nowhere. And then yesterday I posted a photo and it's at like 2,800 views,
Yeah,
and it's got about 70 some likes on it, and people going like, oh, what,
yeah.
and then I posted a follow-up to it today, and that was at like before we started recording. I looked and it was at over 2,000 views as well, and I'm like, wow, this is getting a little bit of track. Like
Yeah.
people are beginning to have their interest peaked a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, all I
now
can
the
say,
pressure's
yeah,
on. Now the pressure's
yeah,
on.
yeah,
Come
yeah,
July 25th, I better
yeah,
deliver.
yeah. All I
Uh,
can say is like there's so much noise out there. Like just scrolling through your phone, you can tell everybody's trying to make noise online. You just got to do creative stuff like that,
yeah,
and it'll pick up. It
it's what
will.
I'm
So
trying to do.
yeah, yeah.
Trying
No.
to have some kind of unique stuff that I'm not seeing,
And the
and getting
fact
my
that you have
getting my
the
friends involved
yeah,
when I got like Ben out there putting out great material, like jump on it,
yeah,
take
yeah.
advantage.
And you're going to find that promoters, now that you're outside of the Ian verse, promoters are like, wait, you're willing to film your own promos? What? That's crazy. Nobody's willing to do that anymore. So they're going to love that. So,
Yeah,
because so many promoters I hear like, oh, guys aren't willing to even retweet the post,
right,
and you're like creating a whole universe for your guys. I think that's
right.
so cool. So everybody jump on Jim stuff. You do my stuff, that's cool, but I want to see Jim everywhere. So go do that. And again, it's been a pleasure. I'm sure we can do this again sometime down the line because we went
Yeah,
two
because
and a half hours.
we
Yeah,
skipped a lot of stuff, and
yeah,
maybe there'll be a lot of stuff where we won't have to flash back quite so far in time to talk about, and we'll just try not to. I can't be losing my chains to your kid every show, but
right. Yeah, no,
we'll come up with other things to talk about on the
yeah,
new
no.
shows.
We'll
So
work something out with him because
yeah.
he's a menace. Maybe stay in wrestling long enough where like he'll start wrestling, and then
There you go.
I'll look the other way if you want to get revenge on him when he's an
Okay,
adult.
okay.
When he's an adult, I'm not
Then we
saying I don't want
okay.
when he because he's he's got to learn his way somehow.
He does.
He's got a lot of receipts coming his way.
He does.
Like I'm his dad, I love him, but he does have a lot of receipts coming his way. So but that's for later. This has been a blast, everybody. If you're new, if you came because of me, go back and listen and watch Jim's uh archives on YouTube and on IWTV.
Thank you.
Because there's some gems. I'm again, like I said, long time listener, first time caller, and it's been great.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. This is going to wrap up another edition of Fannin's Flashbacks. I'd like to thank Tom for joining me. Make sure you check out his YouTubes, his Twitches, all those live streams. My favorite stuff is the "This is why so and so rules" in 60 seconds. Maybe one day there could be a just for me, not even posted, a 60 seconds of why I rule.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles. But again, like to thank you for joining me. Remember to check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/sportsfannin for IWA clips and matches, the audio to these podcasts. The early podcasts do have video of the Zoom going on. If you can look at our pretty faces, but you need to go to IWTV to see the added B-roll. But when you get to my YouTube channel, start by hitting subscribe and then hit like on some videos, leave some comments, pump up that algorithm a little bit. But more importantly, if you have a subscription to IWTV, Independent Wrestling Television, ran by Smart Mark Video, please go watch the podcasts there. The podcast is on there with added clips of matches and promos talked about on these episodes. And yes, I do make a little bit of money by you watching it there, so please go do so. We've already made more money on IWTV and the few bookings I have on this comeback already made more money than I did in my IWA career of 12 years. So, God bless it. Prophet of Ash, Jeremy, he puts a ton of time into editing these shows to find the proper footage to add to the viewing experience. So make sure you tweet him and tell him thank you if you're enjoying that added footage. Tweet IWTV and SmartMark Video. Tell them thank you for adding Fannin's flashbacks to their lineup. And if you aren't subscribed to IWTV yet, please do so. It is cheaper than Netflix, and the wrestling is a hell of a lot better on IWTV. Most of the best indies in the world are on IWTV, and you can watch old IWA shows. You can watch current promotions like WXW in Germany, No Holds Barred, Dreamwave, Anarchy, Wrestle Open, and Girl Fight Wrestling with their video on demand feature. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jfannin73, where I was able to follow the Manawa rule of getting the same name. TikTok, that's not available to me, so I can't have that there. I can't remember what I am over there. I rarely use it anyway, so don't worry about TikTok. My next show is Saturday night, July the 25th for Wrestle Arts. Connor Hopkins and Trick Davis will be teaming up to take on David Ali and Braden Lee. The Fannin family is currently Connor Hopkins, Trick Davis, Mickey Knuckles, and the Rejects, Reed By God Bentley, and the Deathmatch Ace, John Wayne Murdoch. And we are ready for bookings, so reach out and let's do business. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Fannin's Flashbacks. So let it be written, so let it be done. Good day.